Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Slush, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you. And let's party. Thank you so very, very much to coming out to the what? Thank you very much for coming through to the party. Tonight, we got a big one. Tucker Carlson had on Chris Cuomo, and they debated a few different things. And it was actually a longer podcast, but there was a few things that were more contentious than others. So we're going to do a little bit of skipping around, but it was a very, very interesting. I am excited to see it. So let's dive right in. As always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
So last time we talked was a year ago, and
you somehow look younger.
I
look like my
worn out and fatter. I've been on the road for too long. The first day of Lent, I'm getting right now. But anyway, it's been a year since we talked about this. And last time we talked, I think you were still like, and I probably was still a little off balance from being vomited out of television world into the great beyond. But I was thinking about you this morning, and I was thinking, I bet he's really grateful he's not at CNN now.
So it gives me no particular joy to say this, but you were right about...
Well, okay.
I know, so don't get used to it. It's the last time you'll hear it in this conversation.
Does he believe it, though? That is the question. So we're going to jump around a little bit. And actually, since his brother is running for...
That's fake.
Running again. Andrew Cuomo is running for, I think, mayor of New York or something like that. And insane. So let's see what they have to say. They go right into one of these debates, and we will continue.
But that was later in his term. Like he didn't take crime seriously. Nobody did. And so my question is, let's try and take your brother Ann Adams out of it. If you were running for mayor of New York, what would you run on?
Free pizza. You like it.
Now that
you're going to attack
slices,
it, but now that you like it, you thought about it.
I do like pizza. I obviously like pizza? A lot too much. I've given up pizza for Lent.
We both know the city very well, right? New Yorkers deserve their reputation. It's a tough place, and it is a place where the rules have to mean something. It is too many people in too small a space to have anything chaotic. A little bit of a problem blows up really fast in that city. One
apt analysis.
2, 3, 4, 5 things happen in the subway. It's like 5,000 things happen in the subway. The feel becomes magnified.
Yes.
So having grown up, right? I mean, I'm born and bred. I remember life in the 70s. And that's how people talk today. I think I could make a case that statistically it ain't the 70s in a lot of different ways for the better, but that's how they feel. And I haven't heard this talk. I haven't seen people on the subway as I do now, unless they're in their 20s and therefore unable to look up from their screen because they've been completely destroyed by these devices. Everyone's looking around now on the subway. When you're walking on the street, eyes are up. People have their hands out, just like it was when it was in the 70s. I remember people were afraid. So when you say you're going to...
Okay, all right. So it seems like he's gotten away from this, at least trying to get away from this elitist thing. Well, I just know. And more into, well, this is what people are saying.
The city, people talk to you like you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
And that's corrosive. It hurts property values. It hurts the corporate interest in being there. So New York is a place that uniquely needs to have that sense that things are under control. And that is not an easy job. Not an easy job.
Well, it just takes a fascist to do it. No, it does not. I don't mean
the way that just slides out of your mouth.
True.
A fascist?
Yeah, like Bloomberg. I don't mean a fascist. Not fascist in like hating people on the basis of ethnicity or anything like that. I mean like someone who enforces the rules and is not embarrassed about it at all. It's just like, I'm sorry, that's against law. We're not putting up with it. Not for 1 second. No, you can't. And by the way, you're smoking.
I mean, I don't think that's fascistic. I think that's just accountable. But I hear you.
Weed on the street? How about no? Like no, we're not. A little bit of Singapore, New York City.
You're outside.
Honestly, as someone who travels a lot, I find it really embarrassing going to New York. I find the airport's embarrassing. The drive-in is embarrassing. I'm an American. I love my country.
LaGuardia is the number one airport. It's my brother's signature achievement. LaGuardia is the number one airport in the country.
Wouldn't it be a LaGuardia's achievement?
It's way... I don't know by what standard. I think it's way better. I agree. But like it took like 20 years to do that.
Yes.
It was pathetic. It's just like build a freaking airport like everyone else does.
It's hard. Andrew was the only one who could get it done.
2 days ago. I texted my wife for this picture. I was like, this is what we could have if people would just stop being ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I'm from Jersey, so I'm usually flying out of Newark or JFK, and they're airports, they work, but you go to somewhere like Arizona or Phoenix or Denver, and it's like, oh, this is like nice. I didn't know it could be this way.
Well, but
build something beautiful, maintain it. It's not that hard.
I agree, but the reason I come at you about saying you need a fascist is,
I shouldn't have used the word fascist, but I mean, you need
that's why I'm here, Tucker.
You need someone who's committed to protecting the weak.
Yes, but here's the difference. And I know what you mean. What I'm saying is this, and it's worth examining right now with what people are worried about with the Trump administration, is it's got to be bigger than you. The problem with FAST is it's not about you, okay? It's not about Trump. It's not about who's the mayor of New York City. There's a system. There are institutions. There is law and order. And you got to work within that, and you've got to be zealous about wanting those things to work for the right people the right way, but it can't get any bigger that for the individual.
Well, I would just strongly agree with that. I'm totally opposed to cults.
Because Bloomberg was not fascist. He was good at.
And you can see how Tucker is laying out the emotion, the tone of the conversation is not very combative. That he's being friendly, but the things that they come to the table, things that they talk about, they're gonna get into it. So again, I think considering that this is Andrew Cuomo's brother, it is relevant to talk about the New York stuff, but then they're gonna get into the other stuff.
Using the system.
That's a term that
that's why you got 3 terms.
Yeah. Look, I think it should be legal for politicians to name things after themselves. No politician should ever have anything named after himself. That's my view. Because we're paying these people, they're our servants. Why are they taking our money to build monuments to themselves? So I'm against all self-aggrandizement.
I mean, that's a good argument. I mean, you sound a little bit like you're trying to take down the statues, but I mean, people who move history along, we want to remember that.
Aggrandizement by anybody, actually, especially politicians. I'm just saying, it's the greatest city in the greatest nation on earth. And it looks like garbage. Like, it smells, it's dirty, it doesn't work very well. It's like, it's not acceptable. Travel around the world. Not everyone lives like that.
Right.
And we don't have to. So, like, let's just make it worthy of the great nation that it represents.
Look, I think there are a lot of people who feel that way. And I could explain it away. There are a lot of things that would be really hard to control that are at play in New York City. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's how people feel. And look, I listened to my brother very carefully about this. As someone other than his kids, I mean, there's nobody that Andrew matters more to than me. Andrew raised me. He's not just my brother. He's 13 years older than I am. Everything I'm into are all his hobbies and attributes. I
think that's interesting to know. I think that's definitely interesting too. When we look back on the coverage that Andrew Cuomo got from Chris Cuomo on CNN during Rona, and it was bad. I mean, you're an adult. You should be able to see this is not, this is not right. And even if it were, that it's not going to play very well. But that's neither here nor there. But I do think it is interesting as we're doing this elongated deconstruction of who Chris Cuomo is and whether he deserves to be listened to or not. I think that's an interesting thing. We know that their father was someone important, and him saying that there's a 13-year age difference. I didn't realize it was that much, and that he raised him. That matters, right? That matters.
Years older than I am. Everything I'm into are all his hobbies and attributes. Because he taught me all these things. My father was so committed to public service that he was away a lot when I was young. He was in Albany, and we were in Queens. So Andrew taught me how to throw a ball, taught me how to ride a bike, taught me how to tackle, taught me how to defend myself, taught me why you're there for your family and how, taught me about why you got to keep the driveway clean and how to work on cars. Like all these things, how to fish, how to boat, all these things was my brother. So I am really, really attached to him and his well-being. And when you hear someone that you love and care about say, hey, I think I'm going to go run for office again. I've got to serve.
Right. Here's Governor. Shout out to Dixon Cider. Welcome to the party. And a scope to you, sir. Welcome. Very good to see you guys. If you are here, say hello. We got Mr. Poon Cooter, especially if you have a normal name that doesn't make me say something like this. But either way, welcome to the party, guys. Very good to see you again. Make sure you hit the running poll. Can Chris Cuomo redeem himself? Yes, no, or he already has. Let me know what you guys think. Welcome to the party.
I know why that sounds great to New Yorkers, but to me, it's you want more of that. That is the dirtiest, most unfair, savage business in the world.
Good advice from little bro.
There's no chance. It's like he's telling me he wants to go wrestle a Komodo dragon. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I really got to do this. You're going to bleed. They're actively going to try to hurt you with no regard for the merits. And we call it the game, but it's like Thunderdome. So as someone who loves him, why would I be excited about him wanting to expose himself?
Of course not.
But look, when I hear him, it's like, I almost tear up because it's so much like my father. My father used to describe public service. My father hated that I went into the media, by the way. I'm sure I'm sure my therapist could have like a whole field. I don't even open that box of chocolates with my therapist because I know I'd be paying for the rest of my life about just explaining that. But his problem with it was, why do you want to be part of a group that just criticizes people who are trying to get things done when you could actually be trying to get something done? And that's why he believes in public service. Andrew is the same thing. He skips right past the price of entry, which I could never get past it. I'd be like, no way I'm gonna have 100 Tucker Carlsons chewing on my ass like a dog toy every day. Not gonna happen. I won't be able to handle it. I want to fight them all the time. And he goes right past that to all of these ideas about what he could do in that capacity and what needs to be done. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to go through this gauntlet to get to this place just to try to do this really hard thing. And he looks at me like, and so I got to support.
I'm for that level of intensity. You just cannot let.
I agree, but I'm not for people who kill old people by not listening to the science with Verona and also essaying women and then trying to come back on the scene. That's just me.
Let people wreck the city. You can't let them live on the sidewalks.
That's how he feels.
You can't let them smoke weed in the
I agree
parks.
with you. I would just want somebody else to deal with it.
Yeah. No.
Because it's such a hellscape right now. Look what works in politics. If I'm running against you for anything, okay? Strategy is simple. We got to destroy him. What can we find on him?
Well, actually, I think the lesson is it doesn't work because Trump is now the president.
Well, that is true. He did overcome.
They went after his family. They tried to put his sons in jail.
He did overcome
him in jail. Right. They shot him.
To be fair to Chris Cuomo, though, even with Trump is the exception because the standard fare is get your opposition research and, just sling mud and everything. It's only until Trump that it didn't work. And why they're still continuing to try to use the same playbook because it's been the playbook for so long.
Right? But he is a unicorn. Also, he is the true Teflon Don.
But it's an inspiration.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Because I told you. Mm-hmm. And when did I tell you?
Like whatever you think of Trump or what he does, he's basically saying the same things he was saying 25 years ago. You can pull the tape on Larry King Live about tariffs, about immigration, about foreign policy. He's basically, he's changed, of course, on a lot of little things, but on the big things, exactly the same. And he just kept going, and it worked. So,
well, I think that
maybe Trump has a lesson that there are limits to what the personal attack
that's what I was going to say, is that I think that he's more of a symptom than he is a cause.
He is not the river. He was the dam.
The election message was, you guys are focusing on things that don't matter to us the way you want them to.
Right.
And what does matter to us.
Whenever they put their own subtitles on the video, the auto-generated ones are always better. The only thing that frustrates me is that they're not centered. You can see the other ones are they have the center. These are aligned to the left. But these are always better.
That don't matter to us the way you want them to.
Right.
And what does matter to us doesn't matter enough to you. And what they saw in Trump were two main things. One, the personification of this, that you are trying to destroy this guy on a basis that we are not really okay with. And the second thing is that he wants to disrupt all the things that we believe need disruption. And his views between the cancel culture and different cultural wars, as we call them, Donald Trump, for whatever you want to say about him negatively, approximated normal to the American voters more than the Democrats did.
Bingo.
And so, in talking about the redemption arc, Chris Cuomo even being able to not only think this and figure it out, but be comfortable enough to say it, is in the right direction. I'm not saying he's redeemed or even could be, but I'm saying you're moving in the right direction. If you remember the Dave Smith debate, that was no bueno. So he's moving in the right direction.
And
hey, shout out to Shifty Shady. Welcome to the party. So they named a bridge after Mario Cuomo, where I live. Used to be called the Tappan Zee Bridge. Good to know. Welcome to the party. That's in New York, I assume. Why don't I remember that? Tappan Zee Bridge. Tap on the bridge, tap on that.
That's the message. Just scared the crap out of everybody.
But that's an example of what I'm saying.
So, I think there are many examples, but that one was like so florid and crazy and it's still going on, that I to this day, I don't understand it. And we live in a world where there are always going to be people who want to wear women's clothes or whatever. Fine.
Oh, I understand it. You saw it.
To elevate trannyism to like the top of the agenda.
I can explain it to you very easily. It's
all right. Here we go. Topic number 1: the transes. Is Chris going to be able? We just saw that even Gavin Newsom, when talking to Charlie Kirk, whether he believed what he was saying or not, was able, again, to articulate publicly that, at least when it comes to the trans in sports, at least there, we should, slow down a little bit. So, we will see if Chris can do the same thing. So, shout out to the Tappan Zee Bridge, aka the Mario Cuomo Bridge. She said it's in New York, connects Westchester and Rockland counties across the Hudson River. Next Hudson River bridge crossing is the George Washington. All right, I know the GW. That's a little farther. So you're a little further north then. Word up. Oh, look at that. You guys should have a play date.
To elevate traineeism to like the top of the agenda.
I can explain it to you very easily.
I don't think you can, bro.
It's readily apparent. And look, we saw the same mistake on display when the president addressed Congress. Okay? That is not a time for you to be obnoxious. If he wants to be obnoxious, fine. You are there out of respect for the office. There are rules of decorum in that place. I believe there should be rules of decorum in all places, in media and politics, but there aren't. But there are there. And they willfully and wantedly abuse them.
Oh, I thought he was talking about Trump. So again, saying like, hey, whether you're for or against Trump, the halls of Congress are not the time
to make a point that they are against Trump. And it was a bad look for the Democrats. What is it an extension of? We, as Democrats, they will tell you, we are resisting who he wants to abuse and what he wants to destroy. Like what? Trans are a unique minority in this.
We have to stand up for them. Otherwise, they will turn gay. Shout out to Matthew King. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir. We are trying to see if Chris Cuomo can redeem himself. I don't know. What do you guys think? Who he wants to abuse
and what he wants to destroy. Like what? Trans are a unique minority in this country. They are uniquely targeted. They need protection. We are going to protect them. Okay. But this particular aspect of the issue, guys my size who decide to become female and play against my daughter in high school, that is not what you need to protect them from or against. That's something that doesn't make sense. Nope. We have to hold to the purity of the cause of protecting this minority group.
That's the Democrat playbook. Shout out to King Nirvana. Welcome to the party. You just leave. We don't do anything. They'll just turn gay. And, according to the Democrats, that's the worst possible thing, right? Oh, no, it's not. But we have, I don't know. Welcome to the party.
We have to hold to the purity of the cause of protecting this minority group. Yeah, but you're not protecting them. You're protecting the people that are playing against them because they're 230 pounds. Yeah, it almost never happens. But if it happens once, it's something that never needed to happen. The purity test,
man.
The absolutist nature of binary politics, that if you are for something, you have to be all in on it beyond any conception of reason. That's what we're dealing with in our politics. But that's what that issue is.
Well, of course, and I can think of a million topics on which that is true. I
see that with guns on the right, by the way.
Maybe right.
Shout out to Trey Williams. Welcome to the party. Said I disagree with that. We watched MTG and the right yell at the president during the State of the Union. And I think a lot of people were like looking sideways at that. So it's not necessarily about, well, they did it so we can do it now too. It's saying like we don't like it over there, so we're not going to, and that's on our side. And so, we may not like it, but we're not going to shine a light on it. But we don't appreciate that. But clearly, if it's the other side, and then it's the other side damn near in unison, it's a little bit, it's the same principle that no, we don't like that behavior. Certainly there was people who were in favor of it, but this is speaking to something that I hope that we're going to get to with Thomas Massey and how Donald Trump went after Thomas Massey. What was it, yesterday or the other day? Saying that he should be primaried, and everybody's like, hey, I mean, Donnie, we love you, bro, but Thomas Massey is the one. Fair, definitely fair to bring that up. But I think the honest person would say, yeah, both of those were wrong. And we all know MTG is crazy. And we accept that. Are you willing to say, as Democrats, that all of the people who were not standing up for freedom, for America first, for even not the crazy things, but just the basic stuff, not standing for TJ Daniels, all that kind of stuff? If you can say that was bad too, then we're all in agreement. Welcome. We also got D in the building. So Chris Cuomo is a tool. Well, that we know for sure. Now these say, can he redeem himself? Yes. Will he redeem himself? Doubtful. He has many sins and transgressions to come clean about. And I think that's going to be the biggest, the biggest hurdle for him, is that it's not good enough. It's not good enough to just start saying the wrong things when you're Chris Cuomo. Or excuse me, wait. It's not enough to just start saying the right things. If you're, just the average Joe, then of course you're allowed to have change your opinion and realize something new, and you read something you never read before, you talked to whatever, and you just change your mind. Perfectly fine. But when you are the face of CNN and pushing all of the worst aspects of what we're talking about in these culture wars, then having the right idea a few years later is just not enough for me. But that doesn't mean that if he doesn't, if he does address those things, that he could redeem himself, as you're saying. But I'm with you. I don't think he will. He said, if Cuomo got saved, apologized, and admitted he was wrong and corrupt, then I may accept him after a trial period. Fair. Trey said, I can definitely agree with your take on that. Aren't I right about everything? I'm right about everything. No, only joking. Just most things. And really quick, guys, I would like to say, if you would like to support the channel, head on over to theindianjesus.com for your very own official merch, including the patriotic Indian Jesus phone case or a mug. I got a bunch of stuff only at theindianjesus.com. Guys, we do also have a Discord server that is absolutely free to join 24/7. We're in there hanging out, having a great time. It is an awesome place to meet new people and have interesting conversations. It is absolutely free. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. Come on and hang out with us. And for the third time, it is free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below the video, hit that join button. There's a few different tiers here, but it starts at just $2.99 a month. Gets you members only live streams. You do those every week. All that other good stuff here on YouTube as well. But it also opens up the full Discord server. There is more than just the free chat. There's a bunch of other channels, including the voice channel. And as soon as we are done here on YouTube, we head over there for an after party, meaning we do not have to worry about any kind of censors on YouTube over here. And you are not stuck behind your keyboard. You're actually on screen with me and everybody else. It is a good time. Definitely come and join us.
I'm an absolutist on that. I could tell you why. It's not even that interesting. But what I think, the right to self-defense is a part of natural law. The idea that a man can become a woman by wishing it so is not only a violation of natural law, it's a violation of nature itself. It's like,
I'm going to fix this up. Let's go here. And then there.
Inherently insane. It's a denial of physical reality. And so why?
So
the argument is,
a little tweak.
There are people with weird sexual impulses who we shouldn't scapegoat and hurt. I mean, I'm totally in agreement with that.
It is a perversion of live and let live. So,
right, but in the interest of live and let live, of us to tell a lie.
That's the perversion.
That's where that's when you feel like, well, this is a spiritual attack.
Well, it doesn't have to be a lie. In the interest of live and let live, right? Which is a signature American freedom, or should be, right? You don't want these people to live the way they want to live. You are infringing on their rights. We will protect them.
Yes.
Now, I understand the political philosophy behind that.
But that's supposed to apply to everybody, not just the people that you like. And so as Chris Cuomo was just saying, even though the principle is that, the transgender community is small and potentially weak, that doesn't mean that in every instance of an individual that's the case. And so live and let live includes letting females just be able to play sports without getting knocked the fuck out by a man.
But once it entered a realm of where the people that you say you're trying to protect are now a problem for another group that need protection also, which are these kids, they didn't click into the common sense.
Well, it's more than that, though. It's like
get up.
The idea that the government should be involved in people's sex lives is a shocking concept to me. I don't think it should be.
Me either.
Agreed.
And they're promoting homosexuality, promoting it. And I'll tell you how we know that they're promoting it, because its incidence has risen dramatically. Now, when I was a young man, there was a debate over what percentage of the population is gay. I was never anti-gay, for the record, and I'm not now. But it's
Bro, when I heard this before, I had it sped up. So I thought he said, I was never into gays, for the record. All right, well, whatever you say, man.
And there was a debate over what percentage of the population is gay. I was never anti-gay, for the record, and I'm not now. But it's an interesting question. They would say, you're born that way. You're born gay. So you cannot criticize someone on the basis of his immutable characteristics. Great. I totally agree with that. But then we saw the absolute incidence of self-reported homosexuality like triple. So clearly people aren't born that way. 30% of 8th graders were born gay. No, that's not true. And so there's been this dramatic rise that none of us are allowed to notice. It's like, you can't notice that. Well, why? Okay. Yes, I can. And I'm sort of thunderstruck by it. Like, what is that? And it clearly is a manifestation of the deeper truth, which is maybe some people are born gay, but people can also be moved towards self-identifying as gay.
And then I think when he's saying this, and when he's talking about gay, I think he's talking about the LGBTQ whatever community in general. And that's why we see such high numbers, because there's no barrier to entry to being queer. So if you're just a boring person, well, now you're special because I'm queer. And I mean, that's not to take away from the point that we definitely see higher instances of homosexuality than before. But I do think there is there is something to be said about the social acceptance factor. As much as there is to say about the social contagion factor of the transness, there definitely was a concrete reason to hide the fact that you were gay if you were gay 20 years ago. And those things are not there anymore, if in the opposite.
Some people are born gay, but people can also be moved towards self-identifying as gay. And that's exactly what's happened. So anyway, I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good. And I also don't understand why the government should be taking my tax dollars to convince people that certain forms of sex are better than others, particularly non-procreative sex. Like, what the hell is that?
Well, look, it's an easy legal and moral backstop that government should not be in the business of type. Okay, that's easy. There's plenty of things that government should be doing that isn't necessary. I believe that is an extension to how people choose their own bodies and how they use them. I believe in
with you, the extreme libertarianism and extreme social conservatism. I don't know about extreme, but social conservatism I will go with. Shout out to Arjun. Welcome to the party. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh man. Dietrich said clickbait. I saw head to head and there are no tips touching at all. You guys are so gay. I bet you don't even kiss the homies goodnight. I mean, of course I do. It's boys being boys. Welcome to the party, sir.
How people choose their own bodies and how they use them. I believe in reproductive rights. I think it is a right. However, I see gay acceptance a little differently. The difference of a generation from our kids to us is it's much safer to say that you're gay now than it was. You used to get beat up. You used to get ostracized. You used to get excluded. That happens less now. It still happens, but
and you can't go so far as to say like what was his face, Lance from the Surfs on the Culture War, where he had the chart of left-handedness. Let's see if we can find it. Left-handedness chart. Give me this thing. He brought this and he's like, well, look what happens, because over here, when we were here, being left-handed was a bad thing. So it went down. And then when it stopped being bad, then people went up and then it plateaued. And so I think that this did happen with gayness, but there's an added factor of the LGBTQ acceptance. So if we want to take this chart and we want to say the history of gayness, it would probably look a lot more like this, and then plateau out somewhere around here, where originally originally it's around 5. And so 5%. And so, maybe 6 to 8% somewhere you would expect it, because there is what Chris Cuomo was talking about, that upswing when people are allowed to feel more comfortable. But it's not going to be enough to really be something that we see in multiples or exponential, exponential growth. D said people should shame you for being gay, but have no legal ability to stop you. So on what basis would you shame someone for being gay? Dietrich said, sounds like shaming people saves the future. What am I missing? I mean, hard to argue when you put it like that, but shaming people definitely does save the future. Shaming how and for what is the question that we have to ask. Trey said, I definitely feel like it's easy to be open now. Also, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in middle school, there was a decent amount of gay kids, male and female. Me too. Yeah, it's definitely not a brand new thing. Not, or at least not as new as the trans ideology. So the acceptance definitely has a factor. I don't think it explains the 3Xing, but it is definitely a factor, and we would be silly to ignore it.
But it happens less. Is there also a cultural formation that we see, like in America? Everything goes in these big swings in different directions, always reaction formation. Are we more gay friendly in our culture, aggressively so, assertively so, than we were when we were growing up? Yes. Can that make it more attractive to young people who are struggling and trying to figure themselves out? Maybe. And that's why I remember when I was in college, there were a lot of people who were gay in college who weren't gay afterwards. Now, a lot of them were gay in college and gay afterwards, but I think that
they were definitely gay afterwards. They just kept it on the low. He said shame is for socially non-conforming behavior. No, I agree with you. I'm saying on what grounds, if you're saying we should, not only could you shame somebody if you feel that that is wrong based on your religion or something, you're making a prescription saying that people in general, like me as an atheist, if I don't have any explicit reason to be against gays, I just don't want someone trying to, fuck me. Like, as long as you're not doing that, as long as you're not doing it in front of me and doing it in front of kids, I have no reason to impart shame unless you can articulate what it is that I should be shaming them for. Dude, so I'm left-handed, but I ain't gay. You don't want to practice kissing for the girls? Just boys being boys. He said, I've never met a gay guy that didn't either originally or eventually bang women, and I've met quite a few. Now, he said, in the late 90s, we had one openly gay chick and one dude at my school, and nobody really cared. Well, just like the race relations in the 90s, like we were moving in the right direction where exactly, like it wasn't super popular. It wasn't, it was somewhat shameful, but it was a thing that, was acceptable enough that if it was who you are, that you could live your truth. And then we went way too far and we acted like being gay is better than being straight. And like we acted like being black was better than being white or being a woman is better than being a man. And took us back a few steps. Wouldn't you say?
Who were gay in college who weren't gay afterwards. Now, a lot of them were gay in college and gay afterwards, but I think there's something to experimenting and certain people play out with identity.
So it's like, okay, but I just want to get to like the core question, which is, where does this come from? Being gay, is it inborn? We were told you're born that way. Okay, so where's the gene? There isn't one. So
I don't know the genetics, but I do believe
no one has isolated a
but
gene.
You haven't noticed when you were raising your kids that there would be certain kids that you were like, I think this kid's
that little kid's a fucking fruit.
100%. Oh, yes.
But like where they were too young to be mimicking it.
I absolutely did notice that. And so I'm not saying there's not a genetic component. I'm just saying, and I don't know the answer is the truth. But what I do know is if you've got a third of middle schoolers saying I'm not heterosexual, that's not
plays to a fad.
That's not
more
inborn.
than it does.
It's not inborn at
I think
all.
that there's two things can be true. You can have that it's easier to be accepted today. I'm not saying that it's the same. I still believe that when people are gay, it's like the main descriptor of them. Whereas you and I don't identify, oh, Tucker Carlson, him, straight guy, but when you're gay, you still get labeled that way.
No. They make it their entire identity. They're the ones that do that. There are plenty of gay people that I know and probably that you know that maybe, number one, you don't even know that they're gay because they don't do this. But two are, find that value in making their sexuality their entire identity. Matthew, so don't get me wrong. They got picked on, but so did literally everybody else. Now they think it's the reason when it's not the case. Agreed. And this is another point about the trans stuff. When we talk about puberty, it's like everybody had a hard time going through puberty. Like, that's not a sign of anything. It's a sign that puberty is a weird time in life. Dietrich said, I'm an emo kid, as non-conforming as can be. You'd be non-conforming too if you look just like me. Because their dudes look like girls, and their girls look like dykes, because emo is one step below transvestite. Today it is. The OGs, like myself in 2005, it wasn't like that, all right? We were just very emotional, and we liked tight pants.
But I think two things can be happening at the same time, that there is a culture of persuasion in, let's say, in a guided or misguided sense of acceptance. And I think it is safer for people to come out now than it was a generation ago.
Yes, both are true. But I guess the point I'm making is it's really clear that the federal government, state governments, local governments, and NGOs are promoting homosexuality among kids, obviously true to me, and transgenderism among kids. And my point is that is not acceptable. And when I'm a musician, so I mean, I very likely have heard the song a million times, but I don't know lyrics because I pay attention to the music. As a child, if an adult went up to a kid in a park and started talking to him about his sex life, you could shoot the gut because that
what?
Transgenderism among kids. And my point is that is not acceptable. And when I was a child, if an adult went up to a kid in a park and started talking to him about his sex life, you could shoot the gut because that's not acceptable to talk to other people's children about sex, period. And now it's not only acceptable, it's the rule, and it's paid for by my tax dollars. And I'm just saying, like, that's really destructive.
Look, it is a very persuasive argument. I don't know. It certainly hasn't been my experience in my kids' schools, public and private, that I felt that they were being indoctrinated.
They didn't have Pride Week
into any
Pride Month or Pride celebrations.
I don't remember it specifically, but even if they did, let's say they did. I can't prove that right now, but let's say they did.
But okay, so Trey's saying I disagree. We used to distinguish with Mike and gay Mike. But that could be with any characteristic differentiating two Mikes. The reason that gay is in this sentence is because there's two Mikes, not because he's gay. If there was only one Mike, then you wouldn't need to distinguish.
That to me is not the same thing as indoctrination. I have no problem with adults and children being exposed to different belief systems and different ways and different cultures. I have no problem.
Yeah, neither does anybody. In general, it depends on what the culture is. The culture of adults sucking off children, no fucking thank you. It's not just, well, you know, it's a different thing. Semantic obfuscation. This is a thing about genderqueer. This is how he's describing exposing your child to genderqueer.
Exposed to different belief systems and different ways and different cultures. I have no problem with tolerance. Now, indoctrination is a different word.
Well, pride is not tolerance. Pride is the opposite of tolerance. Pride is a celebration.
Right.
And so you're celebrating certain sex acts with other people's kids. And I just think right there, you've crossed a line.
Well, Pride Week doesn't have to be children, right? When you have
it shouldn't have to be children. It should be able to exist without children, but somehow y'all do everything you can to make it family friendly. Trace, the point Chris was trying to make, but you said it was they make it personally. That's what I'm saying. Today they make it their identities person. I don't know why I can't talk today. I'm saying today, the gay kids today are the ones that make their identity the whole thing, not necessarily back then. Never seen that in my life, sir. If you want to know what Dietrich is talking about, become a member and join the Discord.
And I just think right there, you've crossed a line.
Well, Pride Week doesn't have to be children, right? When you have the
tell that to the gays.
St. Patrick's Day parade.
Really, I should say the queers, because the gays are starting to be like, yo, you're fucking this shit up for us.
It's not making people be Irish.
I totally agree.
Right,
I'm talking about kids. I'm talking about schools.
You're talking about
by the way, I don't have any problem with heterosexual pride, gay pride. You know, people are happy about the way that they live. That's fine. I have a huge problem with school.
Guys, it's been a minute. Let's see if we can get Morty his peanut butter tonight. Check out the SWOGO at the top of the chat. Let's do it. $2 or more will make it count.
Or governments getting involved in the sexuality of children.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
But every school does it. There's not one school that doesn't have.
Their job is to keep everybody safe.
No, but it's not safe. It's promoting it.
No, I got you. I get.
And it used to be every public school, but now even some of the private schools. I mean, I don't know like percentages, but there are definitely private schools that have bought full into this.
What would bother you? I'm saying their job is to keep kids safe, which means if my kid is gay, your kid can't beat him up on that basis. That's the role of the school. That's the rule of the law. Is people have to be able to live.
Yeah, but you can't beat up another kid for any reason.
And be free and safe. It's different to you trying to teach my kid to be gay. If that's going on, obviously it would be a problem.
It is.
I mean, I think if
I've never experienced that.
a massive percentage of middle schoolers are gay. In general, possessions are overrated, but there are some things you really would not want stolen. And to me, family shotguns, including a whole bunch of them, I got
That's
edition safe to beneath the waves. Made in America.
All right.
Let me ask you a question.
JFK. Well, like I said, there's a bunch of, there's some debate spots and then there's kind of just chatting and stuff. So I do want to go through and hit all the debate stuff, but I didn't get to hear what he had to say about JFK. Let's see what he has to say about who killed JFK.
That for some reason seems to have sunk beneath the waves. The JFK story, 62 years ago, the president's murdered. It's pretty clear that the story we were told isn't true. And it bothers people because it gets to a core question, which is the president capable of making independent decisions, or is there a threat of physical violence against all American presidents that persists?
Well,
right?
We know there's a threat of violence because we just watched our president get shot in the head.
Of course, but from from whatever group has been able to keep these files secret for 62 years. So my question to you is what is that? Why have these been secret for so long?
Look, the idea of the deep state to me is a convenience more than it is a reality.
Oh, Chris, you were doing well. Silly man. Who do you think wrote all the things that you said on CNN? Just someone giving their opinion?
It's a boogeyman. Why don't they put it out? Because institutions protect themselves, Tucker, as we both know.
Really?
And there's clearly information in those files that are going to make the CIA look bad.
Just the CIA?
Well, whatever. Different agencies.
No, not whatever. I mean,
I forget. I saw a TikTok of this, and somebody was pointing out how Tucker ends this sentence and suggests that Tucker probably knows something more than he's letting on. Listen to the way he asks these questions.
Files that are going to make the CIA look bad.
Just the CIA?
Well, whatever. Different agencies.
No, not whatever. I mean,
I don't know because I haven't seen it.
Well, so here's,
it could be the FBI, it could be the CIA.
Okay, so I've always thought that. And then in January, there was a scramble over who's going to get what jobs in the new administration. And at one point, there was someone who was being discussed for a job in the intel world, and a member of the SSCI, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and Intel Committee, went to the people making the decision and said, you cannot hire this person because this person will be certain to push for the release of the JFK files. So this is in 2025, less than 2 months ago, and you have a sitting member of the United States Senate whose main goal is to keep those files secret. And then you have to ask yourself, why? That?
Yeah.
Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Were they even alive?
Now, of course, no one was alive. It was 62 years ago.
I know.
And by the way, the institution, no one could even tell you who the CIA director was. And do you remember the name of the CIA director? John McCone, I think, 1963. But that person is completely lost to history except a specialist. And the CIA has already been through 50 years ago, the Church Committee hearings, 1975, where we sort of know they were assassinating people, dosing people with acid, all this stuff. It's the CIA has already been discredited. So if you're telling me that 6 weeks ago, a member of the United States Senate was trying to keep someone out of a job in order to keep these files secret, that is to protect the CIA, I don't believe that for a second.
So what do you think it is?
I don't know. But this is, there's no one at the CIA who is involved. Actually, who's involved in the Kennedy assassination. There's no one in America who's involved in the Kennedy assassination.
So here's what I know. First,
just seems like he's trying to coax out something where Chris is the one to say it. It seems like they both know something that they can't say. I don't know. That's just someone else's speculation. But
I don't believe that the CIA has been completely discredited. I believe in the institutions. They have to be checked.
Oh, Chris.
Media used to be in the business of checking the institutions. Now we're in the business of defending them tacitly because we have a president that attacks them all the time. But
and why does he attack them? For good reason or no? Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Pompeo gets in there. He's in charge of the CIA. Trump says, I'm releasing the files. Right. Okay. Somebody says something to Mike Pompeo that he then goes to the president of the United States and says, you can't release these things. And Trump acknowledges it. Now, do I believe that Trump did it under threat? No. I think that Trump just decided that whatever he was being told made sense.
But it's, and I'm not even speaking of Trump or Pompeo, who's a very sinister person. And you're absolutely right. Pompeo was the driver behind that. But who's driving Pompeo? I mean, it doesn't actually make sense. The story doesn't make sense. And by the way, we have the file numbers of most of the files that have not been disclosed. So it's Trump issues an executive order on January 23rd saying you're going to release this stuff. They kind of can't not release it. And yet now it's the first week of March and they haven't released it. So pressure is currently being applied on the administration not to release those files.
It seems that way.
By whom?
I don't know.
Some mid-level analyst at CIA who just doesn't want to discredit the institution he works for? I don't think so. Like, what is
Bullshit.
I don't know.
Bullshit.
I don't
Who is
believe it's the
pressuring-
Rockefellers, the Pope, and
that? I'm not.
Like,
even,
I don't believe
I'm
that
not
either.
even guessing. All I'm saying is we can say with certainty that there is a force acting on these people, a very serious force, to the point where they're embarrassing themselves because they promised they'd release this and they haven't.
Look, I don't disagree with.
So, like, what the hell is that?
I don't know.
What the hell is that indeed? All right, let's move on to debating Elon Musk and Doge.
It's like I keep getting the same message from them, and Musk to me has been a huge disappointment. I believe the man is a genius. Okay, he has done
I'm trying to root for you, bro. I'm trying to root for you.
remarkable things. He doesn't know that the federal judiciary is able to check the executive. He doesn't know that Social Security, the trust fund, isn't part of our debt structure.
He's not a politician, and he wasn't born here. He's basically being an accountant. Why does he need to know American history to a T in order to be an accountant? He said, "I love Tucker. He is frequently wrong, but he means what he says." And that is in short supply.
I can't believe a genius doesn't know these things. So then why would he be messaging this way?
That's the way stupid people think about smart people. People have told me that because they think that I'm smart, we'll be having a conversation and they'll say something and like, I don't understand what they're saying. And they think that I'm playing coy or stupid because I didn't that's not what it means. Just because you're a genius doesn't mean you know all things of all time. It just means your brain works better.
Isn't part of our debt structure? I can't believe a genius doesn't know these things. So then why would he be messaging this way? Unless he doesn't want people to like the justice system. He doesn't like people to want Social Security. He doesn't want them to believe that government can do anything. And I don't understand that.
Or maybe he believes those things because they're true.
There's a political message from a guy who's in charge of everything now. And what is underlying it in terms of your real ambition?
Well, I think I can answer
America.
some of them. I think Elon, builds electric cars and rockets and tunneling equipment and telecom, satellite-based telecom, et cetera, et cetera. He's a builder
Yeah, not a lot of time to read up on the history of Social Security.
of things. He's a businessman. He's an engineer. I'm not surprised he doesn't know the details of how Social Security is structured at all. And I'm not surprised that as a naturalized American, he's not, didn't grow up with Schoolhouse Rock and doesn't understand
Exactly.
schooling branches perfectly.
Elon could be like, well, I mean, I thought Chris Cuomo was such a politician. How does he not know how a rocket works? What? Like, that's not what that means.
His job, from what I can tell, is to deal with the one thing that nobody has dealt with, which will be the end of the country,
Waste,
which is the country's
fraud,
bankruptcy.
and abuse.
So the debt is what? 36.9, something like 37 trillion. Revenues last year, 2024, total federal revenues were under 5 trillion. Okay. So that doesn't work. And at a certain point, the people who are floating the country, the bond buyers, the foreign bond buyers, like, I'm not, this doesn't, and everything will collapse. And that's been known for a long time. No one has dealt with it. And from what I can tell, Elon's job is to try and get the spending down. And no one's been able to do that.
Well, get the spending down has to be in the budgeting process. To me, it's a
Yeah, and he said geniuses are frequently the dumbest people in a room. The smartest people are 100 to 110 and 160 plus IQ. Yeah, it's just it's a stupid person's version of what a genius means.
penny wise, pound foolish notion. I'm okay with getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. You and I grew up listening to both parties argue when the other one was in power that there was all this waste, fraud, and abuse, and you had to curtail it. And I know it's true. It's always been true. Nobody has ever looked for it and failed to find it. I'm okay with them doing that. But I'll tell you what, if they had called up Carlson and Cuomo and said, would you guys like to serve your country and see what you can find in terms of waste, fraud, and abuse?
You'd both be like, how much you paying me? When Elon was like, yes, sir.
And we said yes. I'll tell you what we wouldn't do is keep.
Before he says that, let's shout out our boy Quam Tag. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you guys. If you have not already, please do hit that like button. It does help very, very much, and it's free. Thank you so much. Welcome to the party, Quam Tag.
And we said yes. I'll tell you what we wouldn't do is
Tell me.
keep going off half-cocked every day about what we were finding when we weren't sure.
Projection! Bro, that was your entire job. Your entire job at CNN was going out there half-cocked, talking shit, not knowing what the fuck you're talking about, or actively lying about it. So, what are we talking about here, pal?
We would not do that. We would have immediately come to an agreement.
Yeah, we'd probably
Let's find stuff, okay? And then we're going to go to Congress and we're going to say, look at all this shit we found.
So you mean exactly what they've been doing?
And because we don't trust them, we would then go public with it at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think we would have a blue ribbon commission and we present our findings.
But he is going off half-cocked.
None of that's worked. And I feel like, look.
Exactly. None of that has worked. Like I said, apparently he has a 115 IQ based off of the test that, apparently Quantech says, I had a 115 IQ based off the test that I took last year. It would be a humble brag, but I honestly think the test was bullshit anyway. And I didn't even graduate high school. GED boy here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never taken an IQ test. Even the most official ones, people say, that there's issues with it. But I do think it is a good standard, that assuming that it is it measures the same thing that it's supposed to. Even if it's not perfect, it's definitely, somebody who has, over 100 is going to be typically a more intelligent person than somebody who's under 70. Yeah, no.
And we present our findings.
But he's going off half-cocked.
None of that's worked. And I feel like, look.
What does that mean? What does he mean going half-cocked? About what?
We don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm praying that it does because I think it's our last chance.
I'm fine with it working. I want it to work. I feel like he's working against his own goals by getting things wrong all the time.
Maybe.
How? What? You're just saying things. What is he? What goals is he working against? What is he wrong about?
But big picture, he's right. So USAID, which I grew up around in Washington, I really grew up around it. I can just tell you firsthand, having seen it, it is a force for evil in the world. I think it does probably good things on the margins, but bottom line, it is destabilizing other governments. It's a form of the ugliest kind of imperialism, totally detached from American interests. It's like really bad. And the more you know, that's why it's so shocking to read it all, the more indefensible it becomes.
The Secretary of State disagrees with you.
He may or may not.
Oh, well, if the Secretary of State disagrees, well, then, I mean, that's the end of the argument right there.
I'm just saying, he's from Miami, I'm from DC, so I just tell you, I have, I think, deep exposure to this, and there's no doubt. By the way, USAID gets zeroed out. How many third world presidents complained about that? Did you see any being like, oh my gosh, we want our aid? They don't want American aid in that form because it destabilizes democratic governments. It overturns the culture of the country. Oh, you need more trans athletes. They hate it, and there's nothing they can do about it. I don't think a single foreign president in a poor country complained when we shut off that aid.
That is a fantastic point that I never even thought of. You would think that if it was so awful that these people would be like, no, please, don't do this. We've seen Trudeau doing, whatever dance he can to say how horrible Trump is. We saw Zelensky try to, shoot his shot. But that's about it.
Because they didn't want it. So that tells you right there. Now, that's a minuscule part of the entire federal budget.
Agreed. And he just happened to start with the agency that's investigating him.
I don't think USAID has an investigative arm. Okay, they do. Okay. Well, whatever. Elon's being, attacked on many sides.
This was before anything happened.
It's almost like whichever agency he started with would have reason to want to investigate him so that people like you could be, oh, well, he's just going through the ones that are investigating him, which was not a problem for anybody on the left when there was all that incestuous lawfare going on. But now it matters.
Okay. Look, I'm just saying you and I wouldn't have picked an agency that was looking into one of us without letting people know that.
I'm not even aware
and
of
why
that.
didn't he tell us?
Big picture, the government is strangling the country. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
What does that mean?
It means that the richest place in the United States is the one place that produces nothing but bureaucratic jobs, DC. It's the richest place, and it's the highest concentration of wealth in the United States. Mm-hmm. The counties around DC are the richest. They're like the majority of the top 10 are in DC. And all that money is federal money. None of those people can ever be fired or are. It's not even clear what they're doing. A lot of their budgets are classified. The Intel, the IC, it's like, you don't even know what they're spending.
Trust me, bro.
They own businesses around the world. This is a fact. I mean, they'll admit it if you ask them. And basically, there's no democratic control over any of this. The voters have no say in how this money is spent, and the people spending it are beyond any kind of correction.
But our democracy.
There's nothing you can do about it. And so
that's the other one. We've been saying when they say our democracy, that Trump is a threat to our, threat to our democracy. They meant our democracy, not you included. The other iteration of that is our democracy, meaning our bureaucracy.
Money is spent and the people spending it are beyond any kind of correction. There's nothing you can do about it. And so it's truly out of control in a way that makes democracy impossible. And it's also they're acting in their own interest. So, and then there's the debt overhang, which really threatens in an imminent way to make all of these conversations just irrelevant. If we're a poor country that can't support, a military and can't keep up with our own infrastructure, then like none of this stuff even matters.
So do you believe that the answer is to change the institutions, to destroy the institutions? What do you think the answer is?
As far as we can get.
Everybody loves and appreciates for you. Rise out of there's an emergent what hell kind of Christ for a discount. My sense is that you're not going to get anywhere unless, well, and I think this was their calculation, you come out like a freaking wild animal out of a box. So fast, so hard that you intimidate the shit out of everyone into silence long enough that you gain momentum to continue the process of paring back government. But you really have to immediately occupy the moral high ground. You need to, you can't like get into debate with Benny Thompson over, funding of this or that agency. You really have to get up here and look down at Benny Thompson and say, I can't believe that you're participating in this scam for decades that hurt this country, impoverished its citizens. You did this. And it's only from that posture that you have any power to negotiate the reforms necessary. You sort of have to do what the trans lobby, the Human Rights Campaign did, which is you sort of come out of nowhere and rather than sort of make the case that, hey, don't beat up trans kids, which I'm for, don't beat up trans kids or anybody. They come out and they're like, you're a transphobe. We're going to pick at your house and kill you if you say anything. And people are like, holy shit. They're so intimidated that they just kind of go along with your program. I think
until they don't.
A functional country doesn't operate that way, but this is not a functional country. This is a country that is like more dysfunctional than we will admit to ourselves. And that may be the only option for reform. But I
mean, very dysfunctional, but we're still functioning.
One thing that I think no honest person can disagree with, we need reform, like immediately, on every level. Our military needs to be reformed. The budgeting process needs to be reformed. The way that our economy is structured clearly benefits just a tiny percentage of the population. That's not sustainable, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we need reform badly. We can't keep doing it this way.
Well, we've been saying that a long time.
I know. And Trump is the first, and again, I don't know if it's going to work. I'm praying that it will, because this country's the last hope of the world. I really believe that more than ever, having just come back from other countries.
Right. That's why we have to make our kids travel, because everybody thinks America is the worst place in the world until you go somewhere else.
Dude, yes. And the thing that we need to preserve, I'm more convinced.
That's why I'm a little worried about all the bashing of our institutions. Reform?
Well, maybe they shouldn't be doing things that we can bash.
Sure. Do it better, do it differently, do it less, do it more, whatever it is. Sure. But the idea that there is no more justice in America, I don't believe that. All the elections are rigged. I don't believe that. We can't.
Not that they're all rigged, but just that they could be rigged. So the trust that any given election is fair is not as default acceptable as it was, before I was born.
And function. It's demonstrably false. So making things better is fine if you have the ideas and the wherewithal to make it happen. But what I'm sensing from this administration is it's all broken, tear it all down. And that's easy to say, but I don't know that it's good.
Well, it's actually easy to do. It's easy to tear things down, much easier than it is to build them. And
he said there hasn't been justice in America since LBJ. And you can act like, you're all, you can see the attitude that's going to prevent Chris Cuomo from ever actually achieving that redemption, is that he still thinks that like, oh, okay, I was wrong before, but I learned now, so I'm good. And I'm still above. I'm still the one who knows. I'm still the one who's, been in this industry. I'm the one, like, no, dude, you don't. You're very ignorant and naive, and you are very strong in your convictions without any reason. I mean, except for the fact that he got paid a lot of money and you were on TV to say them. But for the actual substance, there's nothing there. Yeah, it's easy to hate the institutions that are destroying people's lives. But, if, it's something that doesn't affect me, well, we should just be calm about it. Because that works so well. Just saying, excuse me, I would prefer that you didn't spend that tax money on this stupid thing. That works, right? Shout out to Never Con. So this is so dumb. Why are you watching?
You want to be careful of revolutionary moments. I mean, very few improve things. Ours did, I think, in this country 250 years ago. Very few others did. I can't really think of any that did.
Well, we had an oppressive force. Interestingly, and this is something I'm very anxious for you to explain to me. So I get fired and I'm watching the Ukraine war. And it was personally maddening to me because I had not covered a conflict since I got involved in the business. So I'm watching. The whole country's behind Ukraine.
When did you get fired?
Right there, like 2021. When did I get fired? Yeah. So right when the Ukraine war broke out, I was fired, and it was a real reinforcer to me about how much I had lost, right? But anyway, I was much more concerned about what was happening in Ukraine. So everyone's on board. They're blue and yellow ribbons all over my neighborhood.
I was not on board at all.
Well, the country was. The Republicans were, and the Democrats.
Yes.
And I kept hearing, boy, it's like they're kind of like us. They're fighting against this oppressor and trying to shut it off so they can be their own way and get away from the kleptocracy and everything else. And then Trump has that bad phone call with Zelensky. It leads to an impeachment that I thought was a complete waste of time. You were never going to remove him. And it's a political operation, so I didn't know why they did it. But that's their choice. They went.
And again, things just because you're saying nice things or things that you wouldn't have said when you were the CNN guy, not enough. Not enough.
Their way. Then Biden comes in. Everybody's still doing what they were doing to try to help Ukraine. Biden is slow walking it, not giving them what they needed, the wrong kind of ambivalence. Now Trump comes back, and all of a sudden, all the people who are in favor of Ukraine on the right now say that it's a kleptocracy and Zelensky is a bad guy, and Putin, not so bad. Russia, not so bad. Their concerns about NATO, pretty justified. It's really NATO and America that...
Not that Putin isn't that bad. It's just Putin is much easier to deal with when we have Trump, and we're not, saying that he's a horrible person.
Has done the wrong thing here and forced Russia's hand. And Ukraine and Zelensky kind of did too, and they're really dirty, and they're stealing all our money and selling all our stuff. I don't believe any of it. And I hear it all the time. You are a big purveyor of this, and I want to understand it. How did everything change this way?
Well, it changed because...
That's such a, what kind of question? That's such a broad question. Let's see how I'm interested to see how Tucker handles.
Politicians in general, with some exceptions, but not many, have no principles at all, and they do what's popular, what they think is popular, and they respond just to one stimulus, which is election. That's it. And if they think something will get them reelected, they'll say it, and if they don't, they won't.
Shout out to Bambi. Welcome to the party. It said Zelensky is a POS. He's an actor bought and paid for by the oligarchs. Hello, duh. Yup. We've I don't have it here. We had one of his dancing videos. Yikes. Welcome to the party.
One stimulus, which is election. That's it. And if they think something will get them reelected, they'll say it. And if they don't, they won't. And so they're just, that's just what they are. I don't think it's even worth being mad. They're like animals whose behavior is really predictable, or machines. You can program to do a certain thing and it's going to do that thing every time. So the fact that these guys are standing up and being like, Zelensky, who was my blood brother last week, is now a bad guy. Of course they're saying that. I've said the same thing, I think, since day one, which is this is not in our interest at all. And we've really hurt ourselves, and we've dislodged the dollar from its preeminence. And that has
America first
consequences people are not thinking through. And Russia, of course, has an interest in what happens in Ukraine. And of course, they don't want American missiles on their border any more than we'd want Chinese missiles in Tijuana. That's of course, that's a real thing. And moreover, the thing that you want, if you're thinking big, and you should if you run America, the thing you fear most is the alignment of Russia with China, because then you unite the world's largest country, the largest nuclear arsenal, with the world's largest economy and the world's largest population. And that becomes a block that many others gravitate to. We're calling it the BRICS now. And that becomes something that you can't resist, that controls global trade routes, that controls global currency, and that reduces the United States, to the bitch position very fast.
And it is kind of, it's overdone now, the comparison of the Chinese having missiles on the Mexican border. But I actually would like to see what Cuomo, if he'll grab onto that, because it's such a simple thing. And people have been saying it since the war started, or at least this most recent thing. And I'm curious as to whether he's heard it and he just, like you said, doesn't believe it because reasons, or if he's never heard that before.
Understand, but even within that, the premise is Russia bad, China potentially bad.
What does bad even mean?
Russia bad means they are consistently invested in what's bad for America. Putin is a constant. They certainly
are now. They're aligned with China. Say, yeah. So that was not true at the beginning of 2022.
Exactly.
And so,
but invading Ukraine was wrong. What they did, and Ukraine did not start that war.
Well, the whole thing was wrong. No, sure. Russia invaded Ukraine,
yes,
for one specific reason, despite all the lying from Ann Applebaum and the Atlantic Council and the professional liars and morons in Washington who got us into the Iraq War and Libya and Syria and every other disaster. I've never apologized or been penalized for it. The truth is that Russia's concern was that Ukraine remain not part of NATO. They want to control Ukraine.
That's it.
To some extent. It's their neighbor.
That's it. So we can talk about how Putin is bad and Putin will do this and Putin will do that. And yes, Putin is a bad guy. He's a bad dude. Just like Corn Pop. But that doesn't mean anything on the world stage when you're talking about war. It's not about who's nice and who's good and who's bad. It's about who's going to blow shit up.
In the same way that we want to control, Canada or Mexico. You don't have to, run the municipal elections in the country. But you don't want, if you had a government in Canada that was bent on destroying the United States, you would overthrow the premier of Canada, because you can't have that. It's your neighbor. You're a great power. And that's how Russia sees itself. Now, you could say, well, that's against international law or whatever, but that's the way nations behave. And great nations have an expectation they're not going to have an enemy on their border if they can help it.
But NATO isn't inherently an enemy. It is
NATO. Oh, honey, sweetie, baby. Even if you like, as an American, I could see the issue with that statement. But as Putin, like, come on, bro. What do you think Putin is going to see NATO as not an enemy? What are you talking about?
Oh, is to protect against the illegal and wrongful annexation of sovereigns.
Okay, Ukraine's not sovereign, and Ukraine's government was installed in a coup by the CIA in 2014. So it's not a sovereign nation.
Well,
it's a satellite of
Ukraine's regime.
We installed their government. They're not sovereign.
Ukraine is a sovereign, as you know. But
in what way?
Russia had put a puppet in. There was a democratic revolution there that Zelensky wound up winning that election, second round of voting. That was to remove the Russian puppet who went back with a lot of money into Russia.
No, you're
Shout out to D. Thank you so much for stopping by. Indeed, I do love you all, and so does D. So don't forget to hit that like button. Very much appreciated. You have a good one, brother.
Remove the Russian puppet who went back with a lot of money into Russia.
No, you're yeah, whatever. I mean, you're skipping over. That's actually not at all what happened. Zelensky did not become president in 2014, which was when Maidan happened.
But I'm saying that's Maidan Square was a reaction to a Russian puppet regime in that country.
Well,
that's what they were against.
A Russian puppet regime.
Where did the guy go back to?
Well, he fled to Russia.
Yeah.
On the verge of getting killed.
I'm waiting for the part that this becomes my problem as an American.
But the bottom line is, Russia wanted a friendly government in Ukraine. Okay, I get it. The United States, which is nowhere near Russia or Ukraine, went across the Atlantic Ocean to install its president in Ukraine in a coup. That's a fact, and they were caught on tape doing it. And Bob Kagan's wife was caught doing that.
I think the one thing that would make this show way better, Tucker's show, is if he had clips and he was able to cut away to stuff, especially since he doesn't do it live. He could cut in the stuff that he's referring to after the fact. I get that may be seen as kind of undermining the guest, but I mean, hey, we're here for entertainment, right?
You can listen to the tape. And so, okay, I guess both are bad, but if you're being an adult about it, you understand that great powers have an interest in not having other people's nuclear weapons on their borders. That's just a fact. And you could say, well, it shouldn't be a fact, but it is a fact.
Right. And so just but they're bad. So if somebody's bad, then we shouldn't help them. Like, yes, ideally, that is how the world works, but this isn't some utopia.
So we don't have nuclear weapons on the border. The only nuclear weapon.
Well,
the only
really. So
I'll let Tucker. What are you talking about, bro?
On the border. The only nuclear weapon.
Well, the only really. So NATO doesn't have look
in Ukraine. No.
Their concern was,
and Ukraine used to have a lot of nukes, and they agreed to get rid of them.
And again, like trying to make this argument to Putin, it's like, well, yeah, NATO's right on your border, but I mean, they don't have any missiles in Ukraine. That's good enough, right?
The basis of protection from Russia.
Those were Soviet nukes,
right?
And that was negotiated by the United States. But
right,
okay. All I'm saying is, if you're thinking about it from the perspective of what's good for the United States, you do not want Russia becoming in close military alliance and economic alliance with China. You don't want that because that becomes a bloc that you can't defeat, from which you will soon be taking orders. And every administration has understood this. The Biden administration went to the Munich Security Conference in February of 2022 and had the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, say at a press conference to Zelensky, we want you in NATO. NATO did not want Ukraine. There never was a referendum in Ukraine what the Ukrainians wanted. We want you to be an American satellite with American weapons in your country. She said that, knowing.
Yeah, and that's like maybe there was no weapons there because they weren't in NATO. Maybe if they would been brought into NATO, they'd be like, hey, this is a great spot to have some nukes. And that then could lead to World War III, and it would be at least understandable that Putin would be like, all right, I mean, that's the red line. We're going full cocked, as Chris Cuomo would like.
That was the red line. Putin's like, look, I just don't want Ukraine in NATO. You've had all these countries around my borders in NATO. I don't know why you're doing that. I still don't know to this day why we're doing that. That's an aggressive, offensive move. But you cannot have Ukraine. It's too big. It's too important. Our energy pipelines go through it. No. And they insisted on doing this. And Putin gave a speech immediately after in Russia. No Americans ever watched it. You should. It's really interesting, saying this NATO thing is too much. We have to invade, and we're doing it. Those are the.
I don't believe so, but I mean, again, as long as the Americans are there, then nuclear is on the table.
Facts. Okay. So the question is, why would you do that? Ukraine is not sovereign. It never was. You know that Ukraine cannot beat Russia in a conventional war. Russia's got 100 million more people and much deeper.
But that doesn't mean you let them roll over. And Ukraine is a sovereign.
Why? And again, that word "let." Who are we to let or not let anybody, any other country do anything, especially if they're not in one of these alliances?
Conventional war. Russia's got 100 million more people and much deeper.
But that doesn't mean you let them roll over. And Ukraine is a...
What do you mean let? What do you mean let?
Sovereign. It's its own country.
In what sense are they making independent decisions? I'll give you in April of 2022, 2 months after this war starts, very clear that Russia is going to win. It's just a much bigger country, period. And so the Ukrainians and the Russians start having peace talks. And they move them around a bunch of different places. They wind up in Istanbul, Turkey. And they have a bunch of different data points. The first is no NATO. The second is, what do we do with Crimea, which since 2014 had been like Russian aligned.
They took it, by the way. They took it. What do you do with that? There's a Russian military naval base there, as you know. And what do you do with Donetsk and Lugansk, the eastern part of Ukraine? They basically reached terms in Istanbul. 2 months into the war, all of a sudden, the former prime minister of Great Britain, Boris Johnson, shows up in Kiev and delivers a message from the Biden administration. No peace. You are not allowed to negotiate a peace. He's telling a quote, sovereign country this. Some unemployed, indebted Brit is showing up on behalf of the United States to lecture the so-called president of Ukraine about what he can do with his own country. It's not sovereign in any sense. And they break off.
Chris Cuomo said, but he didn't have to listen. Like, he's the president. He can do whatever he wants.
Stupid.
The peace talks, this is all like, I'm not making this up. Look it up. And 1 million more Ukrainians died. The country's totally destroyed forever. And then Zelensky goes and changes the law in Ukraine to allow foreigners to buy farmland in Ukraine, to buy the soil of Ukraine. So you wind up with a country whose population has just been killed, that no longer owns its land. So big American companies, multinational companies can go in and just buy Ukraine. That's the total destruction of a European nation. And in the United States, we feel like, oh no, we're fighting on behalf of Churchill. No, we just destroyed Ukraine because we want to fight Russia. And now that is the core.
That's another aspect of it. A good opportunity to show Russia, hey, we are willing to do this, that, and the other. Matthew said, so Poland does not have nukes, but they have NATO Title V, which is almost as good. Yep. And that's the again, I understand the worry that if Putin goes into Ukraine, then he could potentially maybe want to go into Poland next. But there's so many reasons why he wouldn't want to do that. And then the other fact is, all right, if he does that, well, then we have a problem. Why are you creating a problem to prevent a problem? That don't make no sense.
Or the desire of the American foreign policy establishment to have a war with Russia. That does not make any sense to me. I'm not a Putin lover, or I don't speak Russian. I've got nothing to do with Russia. I just don't understand why it's in America's national interest to be at war with Russia. It's not. And these are people with very deep emotional hatred of Russia. I can't even speculate as to where that comes from, but it's real. I've certainly seen it a lot. And it's not consistent with our interests as a nation. It's not helped the United States at all. It's hurt us. We spent over $100 billion when we're bankrupt. And all we've achieved is destroying this nation that didn't really do, the poor Ukrainians didn't do anything. It's horrible what we've done.
The real victims, right?
Zelensky articulates a very different case, right? He wanted...
Oh, yeah. Well, I wonder why. Like, he's definitely a reliable narrator.
What's his case?
His case is he wanted America and Europe to help them fight back Russia because Russia wants to reestablish the USSR. And he wants to keep Ukraine sovereign. Of course, he has cultural and geographic issues in the eastern part of his country. And that has been an ongoing problem for them. I was in Ukraine when the Russian separatists shot down that Malaysian Airlines plane, lied about it, wouldn't let the bodies be reclaimed. It was a whole thing. Putin installed a guy named Borowski, who was supposedly the prime minister of Donetsk. It was all bullshit because that's what Putin is. So they wanted help. They want to stay sovereign.
Hey, shout out to Equality and Deference because vagina. Welcome. So does Fredo here count as retarded? Yes, he does. Absolutely. I was gonna say no based on what he was saying earlier, but he just just not there. What do you think about our poll? Equality and Deference. You can potentially be our tiebreaker. Or not a tiebreaker, but put us back into a tie. Can Chris Cuomo redeem himself? Yes, no, or he already has. What do you think? Let me know. Contact. So Dave Smith said, I don't understand this notion that we have to have war so that we don't have to have a war.
Bingo.
Exactly. No, he was joking. Oh man, you guys are funny.
Yeah, because that's what Putin is. So they wanted help. They want to stay sovereign. America was helping with them with that, and now all of a sudden, Zelensky's a thief. They're stealing all our money. Yep. They're selling all our weapons to Mexican cartels. None of these things are true.
Well, that is true.
Why? No, it's not true. It's not true.
All right, put a 1 in the chat if you would, if you want to. So the next chapter here is Ukraine selling American weapons on the black market? We can go through that, or if you want to skip to the debate on immigration. So put a 1 in the chat for continue. Put a 2 for immigration.
All our weapons to Mexican cartels. None of these things are true.
Well, that is true.
Why? No, it's not true. It's not true.
I'll just
But
go.
I don't understand
I'll just go in order.
Give me the point of it, and then we can talk to
just to define sovereignty. Sovereignty is the freedom to make independent decisions, and Ukraine does not have that, and has never had that since 2014, when its government was installed by an American coup.
Zelensky would say he was democratically elected.
Well, it's like, Matt King, that sounds like something a dimwit would say. Or were you joking? I was like, nah, he's joking. Well, then bless the king. Okay, let me see those numbers, guys. Matthew is not the leader here, although he does absolutely have a vote. 1 to stick with where we are. 2 to move to immigration debate.
Well, he's not democratically elected. He's passed his term.
Well,
and so by what authority? Hold on, let me question.
Go ahead.
By what authority does Zelensky negotiate on behalf of his country, rule his country? He just put his main political opponent under indictment and froze his personal funds under internal sanctions. The security services of Ukraine.
Sounds
Had your back. Don't worry.
familiar, doesn't it?
I don't
we
know.
just
Wait, what?
The security services of Ukraine.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? We just went through the same thing in this country.
Sounds like dictatorship. What I'm saying, by the way,
no, but he's not a dictator. And
then by what authority does he rule Ukraine?
So here's how he was elected, and now under their constitution, he does have the ability to stall elections and operate under martial law during the conflict.
So you're comfortable with people saying, "I'm going to"? No, he could certainly have an election if he wanted.
If he wanted, but he is empowered.
Doesn't want an election. You're from political.
I told you. He literally said it. I mean, not exactly, but he was like, "Well, he's the president. He can do whatever he wants."
What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you?
Feels good to be right. Guys, don't forget about our swole goal. Morty is mighty hungry. Bumzek said Zelensky had the face of a stressed out puppet that knows that no matter what, he's not in control and never will be. Probably why he freaked out at Trump. Yeah, that could just be a really bad moment where, you know, at the end of the day, they're all human, right? And seems like that was what happened. Quality said Fredo could redeem himself, but it would be akin to Sisyphean undertaking. There you go. I like that. What do you get when you cross a penis with a potato? A dictator. Good one.
People saying, "I'm going to." No, he could certainly have an election if he wanted.
If he wanted, but he is empowered.
Doesn't want an election. You're from a political family.
It's the same thing with Israel right now. They're not having elections either because they're in the midst of an active conflict. It's not a time for transition of power.
Okay, but I don't know why.
Oh, honey.
Why we make excuses for dictatorship?
It's not a dictatorship.
Of course it is. Any unelected leader who has the power.
Elected. He was elected.
We had elections during the Civil War.
Actually, he has a presidential term.
Right.
If Joe Biden just said, "You know what? We're in a conflict right now. I can't have elections. I'm canceling the election," or if Donald Trump.
But there's a constitutional provision for this.
Okay, he could have an election.
And this is the type of mindset where it's like, oh no, there's systems, there's rules for this, so we just follow the rules and everything's hunky-dory. It's like, bro, that's not how it works. It would be really nice if it did, but it's not. Now he said Zelensky isn't used to being told no, and he threw a tantrum. Definitely.
Election whenever he wanted. He could have election right now. No one doubts that, actually. And his opponent was calling for that before he was just shut down by the Ukrainian intel services a week ago. So there's no authority. He doesn't have democratic authority over his country. What he has is a lot of NATO weapons. And to your second point, he has absolutely, as a matter of fact, the Ukrainian military has sold those weapons on the black market around the world. And they have these are facts. They've wound up in the hands of, among others, the Mexican drug cartels, the Taliban, Hamas in Gaza. Fact. And a lot of other groups. And it's incredibly destabilizing, by the way. The United States did this years ago in Afghanistan, as you know, and sent a bunch of Stinger missiles to the Mujahideen in 1979 and 80 to fight the Soviets. And those missiles caused huge problems for all of Southwest Asia for like 20 years. And so this is a big deal. And I don't know why people feel like they have to lie about it. Now,
I don't know that it's about lying about it. I don't agree that those are facts.
You don't believe that the Ukrainian military, you know what?
I'll tell you why.
I'll bet you my car that in the next
kind of car is it?
With some crappy.
Oh, then I'm not going to bet that.
Okay. No, I don't have nice cars. I'll admit that. I've never bought a new car.
I do. So we're not doing a swap.
Okay. But anyway, the point is, and as no one believes me, I know someone who bought some of the weapons. I'm just, whatever. I can't.
Well, first of all, you would have to substantiate, who it is that you knew, because
Do you believe the most corrupt country in Europe, which is so corrupt that NATO didn't want it as a member?
Again, source? I need to see somebody saying, yes, I sold weapons that weren't supposed to be sold to the Mexicans.
You believe it's outside the realm of possibility that
aren't you a journalist?
in Europe, which is so corrupt that NATO didn't want it as a member. You believe it's outside the realm of possibility that facing defeat, the leaders of that military would not sell the weapons that they're getting from the West?
You cannot substantiate a claim on the basis of mere suspicion. That because
it's not mere suspicion.
Hold on
I know someone who bought some of the weapons.
I believe that you think that. What I'm saying is
that's so condescending, bro. Like, what information do you have to say that what he knows is not true? Nothing. You just feel like that can't be true. And I don't know that for sure. So you must not know that either.
But I know it.
I'm saying that, well, you know that they say it. You don't know whether they did. And I'll tell you why I'm suspicious. Because the
narrative wouldn't support it. So,
the missiles that Russia put out those pictures of were from like 2014. And they didn't even have javelins then. So the idea that Ukraine could have been selling weapons that were taken from a different time as an obvious ploy by Russia to make them look bad is, to me, propaganda and not proof that they did it.
Okay.
Are you texting while I'm having a conversation with you?
I'm texting right now.
Very rude.
No,
I'm
texting
rude.
on WhatsApp.
Not rude to say, oh, I know you believe you think that, but you're wrong based on absolutely nothing. That's not rude at all.
Now, on this exact subject.
Tucker, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying I'm disagreeing
You're not lying. You're just too stupid to know that you're wrong. Is that not what he's saying? Morty, please, just lay down. What are you doing?
Now, on this exact subject.
Tucker, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying I'm disagreeing that it's a fact that the military there is spending weapons that they very much need to Mexican cartels. Why does Mexico's cartels need to get weapons from Ukraine when they get them across our border with straw buyers all the time? I mean, to me, it doesn't even make sense from a practicality standpoint, but it seems like...
Yeah, because it's just so easy to do illegal stuff that you would definitely not need a backup plan or another avenue of procuring things that are illegal. Well, that's not even practical, right? We got plan A and we're good to go.
You can get surface-to-air missiles from straw buyers.
No, not surface-to-air missiles. Not surface-to-air. Small arms. Small arms.
Small arms. You can buy anywhere. No. I'm talking about weapons.
But this is not documented stuff, and it seems to want to smear Ukraine and make them the bad guy and make Russia the good guy.
Ukraine.
It's a matter of the truth. The truth may not be something that you like.
Okay. This is one of those topics that I'm just gonna.
I'm not mad at you.
No. It's a conversation. I'm mad because I know.
He said, "I'm not mad at you, motherfucker. I'm mad at you for being an asshole and thinking you know shit that you don't know." The audacity. Now, they said they're getting automatic weapons from Ukraine, not standard handguns. I wouldn't be surprised if it was bigger shit too.
I'm just gonna.
I'm not mad at you.
No. I'm mad because I know this is true. Because
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't know.
It's a fact, and unfortunately, I can't.
And shut up. Be like, oh, I don't know about that. That's what you do when you don't know about that. You don't say, I'm sure you think you know, you believe that.
And maybe I shouldn't have brought it up because I can't name the person who told me
I don't want you to expose a source.
I'm not going to.
What I'm saying is, look, people.
Let me
people do bad things with money that we give them.
I have a huge amount of knowledge on this one topic. I'm wholly ignorant of many topics. I know a lot about this topic.
And you think Zelensky's a bad guy who's a dictator?
I don't think. I know.
What I'm telling you is the Ukrainian military has sold huge amounts of American supplied, NATO supplied weapon systems around the world, and that they're purchasable now by governments and armed groups and are being purchased.
And why hasn't it been documented?
Because then they wouldn't be able to get it anymore. We would have a reason to be like, oh, now we need to go make sure this isn't happening. And then the people who are voting for sending all the money and guns over there be like, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. That's why, you fucking moron. Well, I said, is it not the case that Ukraine is legendary for corruption? Indeed, it is. Is it further the case that our military just disappears hundreds of billions of dollars, but then you combine the two? Because Jesus nibble twisting Christ. I'm right there with you. And I'm not sure. Like when he was on CNN, I was pretty sure that, he's just shilling. Now, it's like, maybe you just are that dumb. Maybe you are that just that naive.
I'm just telling you that if this will be documented, and I got that directly once again from someone who purchased quite a few of those weapons, who I know personally, and in another country, and knows a lot about this. It runs a military, and it's just frustrating because I can't say
But I'm
beyond
not.
that.
Look, my point.
So, like, this would be appropriate for Tucker to be like, Chris, like two men talking here. Do you really think that on my own show I would be so adamant about this if I didn't at least have something just between friends? That would be where I would go with this, because it's just like, bro, what are you doing? You have no idea about anything, and you're just claiming that you know that I'm wrong based on your feelings. Shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir. I mean, doesn't look like any redemption is coming Chris Cuomo's way anytime soon. So you are right on point. Welcome to the party.
It is not to frustrate you, Tucker. It's to understand.
Clearly, that's what I'm realizing, is that you don't try to do it. You just are that way.
Well,
This mentality of framing Ukraine as Zelensky as the bad guy.
It's not. Look, it's noting the facts. The guy's not elected.
He is elected. His term
is over. So he's the elected president as much as Joe Biden is currently the elected president of the United States. Yes, Joe Biden won an election. Yes, Joe Biden was the official president of the United States. But even if we had not had an election after those 4 years, if Joe Biden stays in power, he is no longer a president. He is a dictator. I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm saying you've been lied to by a person I know nothing about. Pretty much. He's a punk. He's a fucking loser.
It's not. Look, it's noting the facts. The guy's not elected.
He is elected. His term has been expended constitutionally.
Would you be comfortable if we were? Well, we are in a war with Russia right now. If Donald Trump, no, it is a war with Russia. Americans have died.
It's a proxy war.
It's a war that we're funding.
A proxy what? A proxy what did you just say? Oh, proxy war. So a war, like Tucker just said, a war.
If Donald Trump,
it's like, well, if you have a dog, a Chihuahua, yeah.
No, it is a war with Russia. Americans have died.
It's a proxy war.
It's a war that we're funding.
We're not on the ground there.
There are many Americans in Ukraine.
U.S. military.
There are
is not
military. Yes, there are.
Look, I know that there are.
What are you talking about?
They're not actively fighting Russian forces.
They're guiding
They're
weapons.
just hanging out. They're just there. They're just directing traffic. They're not fighting. Oh my God.
I know that there are.
What are you talking about?
They're not actively fighting Russian forces.
They're guiding weapons into Russia.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Caesar was elected, and then he took over and became a tyrant and destroyed Rome.
Yes. What do you mean they're not actively fighting? They're absolutely actively fighting.
Well, have we declared war?
Of course not. We didn't declare war in Vietnam or Korea. That doesn't mean anything.
True. Did in Iraq.
I guess we did. That went well.
There was a congressional vote.
Of course.
What is your point? What is your point? Why are you saying we did what was the word? Fucking declare. There we go. You did declare war on Iraq. So what? What does that have to do with anything they were talking about? This is the mind of a person who, this is just female thinking. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Sign language. Shout out to the late Kevin Samuels. R.I.P. to the Godfather. He's a fucking woman. He's just saying things to try to get something back on his side. For no other reason than because it doesn't feel good to have someone else say something that's right.
Have we declared war?
Of course not. We didn't declare war in Vietnam or Korea. That doesn't mean anything.
True. Did in Iraq.
I guess we did. That went well.
There was a congressional vote.
Of course.
And then?
But the point is, if Trump were to say we're at war with Russia, I can't have an election, I would say that's not legitimate. You do not have the authority to extend, and I don't care, what pretext you make up for it. You can't put your...
There you go. So the point that Tucker's trying to lay out is that, well, we're at war. Would you be okay if Trump did away with the 28 elections? That's what he's getting to, which, of course, Chris Cuomo would be like, no, of course not. That would be so fascist. The same word that he made fun of just earlier. And then, we have stuff like this. Any film talking about a 24-year-old girl being shipped to Syria, but there's no war in Syria. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Dumb or evil? I genuinely don't know.
Opponents in jail. You can't, but more than anything, what I'm saying is that this is scary. It's not even blaming Zelensky. There are many power centers within Ukraine. There's the military, the intel services, there's the president's office. There are competing political.
People say the same things about us, by the way.
Of course, it's true. It's true. Especially true here. It's a huge country. I'm not even blaming Zelensky directly. I'm saying this is the largest country in Europe. We have poured billions of dollars in pretty high-tech weapons systems into this country, and we're not keeping track of them. We also have biolabs throughout the country. We have biolabs.
And we're about to have more of a footprint because the mineral deal will put American companies on the ground in those areas.
So are you now, you see the tactic. We've gotten so far away from the question of whether it would be okay with Chris Cuomo for Trump to stop the 28 elections because of the fact that we're at a war, because we came from the point that it was okay for Zelensky to halt elections because of their war. Good job, Chris Cuomo, of taking the conversation and throwing it in the garbage. We are off the rails.
About to have more of a footprint because the mineral deal will put American companies on the ground in those areas that are right now war zones.
All I'm saying is we've funded the worst war Europe has seen since World War II for 3 years.
Good job, Chris Cuomo, because no, Tucker, that's not what you were saying. What you were saying is that Zelensky is not a legitimate president, even though their constitution or whatever says that you can get rid of elections. That was your point. And you let him take you off to something else.
All I'm saying is we've funded the worst war Europe has seen since World War II for 3 years. That entails an awful lot of weapons, including bioweapons. I'm not guessing. This is a fact. Troy Newland said it in a conversation with the now Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, in the Senate on camera. So there are biolabs in Ukraine with biological weapons in them. Who the hell is keeping track of this stuff? That's all I'm saying. It's not an attack on Zelensky. We have a moral obligation to keep track of this stuff. There's never been an audit.
I have no problem with that.
It's fucking crazy.
I have no problem with keeping
track of it. Destabilization of the world.
So then you do admit that all that shit's happening.
Why are we doing this?
So do you believe that we should just back out of what we're doing there now and let Russia take it?
Yes.
Russia take it? I don't know. At this
Again, use the word let Russia take it. We are not Russia's daddy. Yes, we should back out. Whatever's happening over there, unless it directly affects us, is not our fucking problem. Sorry, Ukraine. Nice to know ya.
Back out of what we're doing there now and let Russia take it?
Yep.
Russia take it? I don't know. At this point, Russia has, we're not in charge. Russia just won. They beat us in their war, in case you haven't noticed. Russia outproduced in munitions NATO, including the United States, 4-1. So we just lost the war. So we are not negotiating from a position of strength. Sorry.
And we saw how that plans out when you try to play the cards when you don't have them. Didn't work out for Zelensky.
I'm not taking Russia's side. I'm on America's side. This is terrible for us. We've exposed how weak we are. We couldn't beat Russia, which many members of the U.S. Senate assured me was, quote, a gas station with...
That was McCain's line.
What a fucking idiot that guy was. What an idiot he was.
I think we can all agree that McCain was a fucking idiot. If not an idiot, evil. Quality said the two main territories that Russia has taken voted in a referendum to fucking join the Russian Federation. It's almost like we don't need to be there.
Like, I knew him and I liked him, but he was like an idiot. A gas station with nuclear weapons. Really? Have you
see? I saw it the other way, which is we thought Russia was going to.
It was a nuclear power plant with some gas.
Roll over Ukraine, and they have been unable to really move the line.
Yeah, right. They would have, but we gave them all this shit that continued the fighting, increased the deaths, and still didn't get the result that we wanted. Good job.
Because we thought Russia was going to roll over Ukraine, and they have been unable to really move the line.
Over us. They took a big chunk of eastern Ukraine, and for 3 years we've progressed toward bankruptcy trying to stop it, and we've not been able to. They won. This is bad. It's bad for American prestige. It's bad for the projection of American power. Everyone knows what we're capable of and what we're not capable of.
Can you imagine where the fuck we would be with Kamala in office? Can you imagine? Because I cannot. I cannot imagine. I'm trying to, and it's not working. I can't fathom how bad things could be.
It's divided our country. All these dumb Ukraine people are flying foreign flags in front of their houses.
I feel that the division is forced in this country. That, to me, it seems pretty basic.
By who? Up until a few years ago, you. And just no acknowledgement of that. No understanding of that. So redemption is not in your future, sir. Quality said, bless Tucker for bashing McCain. They have enough nukes to wipe out all life on the planet many times over. But they're a gas station. Well, he said a gas station with nukes, so I mean, it fits. Come on, that cackling cunt would have been a disaster. Yeah, agreed. But how bad? How bad exactly would it be? I can't imagine it. Anyone said there are wars and conflicts all over the freaking planet. Are we supposed to work on all of them or just the ones where Joe Biden's son had a tie to an energy company? Obviously the latter, man. Come on. You know how this works. You know how this works. Chris Cuomo might not, but you do. You do.
Vision is forced in this country. That, to me, it seems pretty basic that Russia can't have Ukraine because it doesn't stop it.
What are we going to do?
It doesn't stop it.
We already tried that. We already did get involved and was like, no, you can't do this. We're going to back Ukraine. And we lost. What is it what would you like to happen? What is it that that would be the next question. Okay, what are you proposing that we do next then? How do we not let them nuke them? Is that what you're saying?
But at some point,
it's Estonia and Latvia.
Estonia. It's always some chick, that blonde chick. I'm president of Estonia. A country of 5 million people that invented the sauna. By the way, I'm part Finnish. I'm not against Estonia. I'm sure it's great. But the idea that some woman who's never been in the armed service, like setting military policy for the EU, we're going to do this. You can't do anything. You don't have an army. Britain's army is smaller than the U.S. Marine Corps.
Yup. Quality said, indie film, great point, and Fredo wants a World War III. I don't think he does. I think he's just this stupid. When he was at CNN, there was a good reason to believe that he was just pushing lies. But now, earlier in the discussion, they talked about, him being at News Nation and whether, they are pushing for him to say certain things or not. And he was like, no, they want, they don't want any hidden agenda. So if you think something, they want you to say it so that, all that stuff. So he has no excuse now that he's part of the system and he can't do anything else. He's saying these things because he believes them. And film said Russia took what they wanted in Ukraine, and now they're holding what they want in Ukraine. So, yeah, they rolled over the Ukrainians. They just also rolled over a lot of American money and some American people along the way.
NATO, which is a coalition that includes, by the way, Turkey, it's like this huge coalition, couldn't beat Russia. That is the fact. I don't want that to be the fact. That is the fact.
But,
and that is something that would not be a fact if we didn't get involved. Now NATO has lost to Russia.
Americans are like, well, we can't allow this. Well, what are you going to do?
I don't say that it's a fact because we are not fighting in earnest in that country.
So what? Okay, so what would you? Here are the terms. We have a nuclear armed power, largest nuclear arsenal in the world that is fighting for its very life, that is aligned with China. Okay, which is the largest economy.
Well, I don't know that Russia's fighting for his life. I think Putin forced this situation.
Okay, whatever. Leaving aside moral culpability, I'm just saying it's a big deal for them. It's on their border. It's their border. Okay, so we don't like it. We weighed in on the other side to fight Russia. We haven't won. So now what are our options? Like, actually, what are our options?
I am excited for this. I am excited to hear. What are our options, Chris Cuomo? What do you think America should do next in not letting Russia do what they've already done? Shout out to Kelly Green in the building. Welcome to the party. Fuck you. You're cooked.
The options are what President Trump is doing right now, which is to try to get the parties to the table and draw a line in the sand and make a deal, right?
That's the only option I see. I don't see any other options, but maybe I'd love to hear what they are.
No, I mean, there's never any other option unless you want to actively.
Then why did you say here are the options?
Fight and take territory and occupy.
Who's going to actively fight? There are no Ukrainians left.
Well, look, both sides are manpower poor, right? You know the stories about Russia emptying the prisons.
Russia has 100 million,
140 million people, but
100 million more people.
But have you ever heard of us emptying out the prisons? I mean, why does he have to do?
So you want American prisoners to go fight a foreign war? That's what you're proposing? Take prisoners, people who are locked up maybe for nonviolent drug offenses, and go on the front lines to fight Russia in Ukraine. Nah, I'm good.
Do that. He's in a desperate place.
Because he doesn't want his citizens to have to fight an unpopular war because he's worried about his popularity because he wants to stay in power. So it's easier to send convicts to the front. They have done this for centuries. I'm against it, but I'm just saying that's the fact. The point is,
you think Putin is concerned about his popularity in a place where he kills all of his opponents on a regular basis?
Very concerned about his popularity.
Really? When he completely engineers the outcome of everything that happens?
Russia is a very complicated place with a lot of different...
Wait, so he engineers the things because he doesn't care? Guys, we have 5 minutes left in the Swoggle and not one single super chat. Let's get this dog something to eat, man. Look at him. He's wasting away. He's wasting away.
When he completely engineers the outcome of everything that happens?
Russia is a very complicated place with a lot of different competing power centers, including the FSB. Which
and how has he stayed in power so long?
Because he's really good at politics and he pays very close attention to what the public thinks. Very close. He's got the military. Like,
are you saying you're pro-Putin? Come on. Are you saying you're pro-Putin?
Just like any country. First of all,
you know how lousy life is there for people, right? And not just because of the economic sanctions right now. It just has been. I mean, you
have you been there recently?
Recently, no.
I've been there.
We're not allowed in.
I've been there twice in the last year.
Why are you allowed in?
I don't know. I'm an American.
Friend of Putin.
Whatever.
Friend of Putin.
Because I believe in...
And how dare you have a good relationship with someone who can fuck this entire planet up? Why would you want that?
Seeing things and reaching my own conclusions.
Oh, me too. I'm not allowed in there as a journalist.
I'm sure you could call right now and they will let you in and you should go.
Just wouldn't let me out. Wind up like Paul Whalen.
I think
Yeah, you maybe, and I'd be in favor of that. Hey, there we go. Shout out to the indie film. The poor puppy. Look at him. Look at him. He's like, they don't even like me. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Eat it up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. See, knock indie film out of that spot with $3. $2.99, and you in there. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much, sir.
I'm sure you could call right now and they will let you in and you should go.
Just wouldn't let me out. Wind up like Paul Whalen.
I think
and you wouldn't be arguing like
now who's just saying things that they want to be nice because of reasons.
But look, here's the point. No, Putin does not have absolute control of his country, and there are all kinds of potential rivals. He's been there for...
You sound more sympathetic towards him than towards Zelensky.
Yes,
you just
correct. Correct. I very much understand what Putin is saying and doing more than I understand why Zelensky's doing what he's doing. So yes. Hey, there we go. Shout out to Quamtech. $2 make you holla. No question, no comment. Just pure love of the game that makes you a new co-sponsor. Short-lived, because now our boy Indyville, another $10. Thank you so much. Let's give him a nice big brick there. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Thank you so much. And again, gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. Look how happy you're making him. Look, I'll put it over here. You'll climb for it. Yeah. Thank you so very, very much, guys. Do very much appreciate that. Shout out to our new sponsor. Sponsor of the stream.
Potential rivals. He's been there for...
You sound more sympathetic towards him than towards Zelensky.
I'm definitely more sympathetic to Putin than Zelensky for the following reason. I'm not sympathetic to Putin in the sense that I want to move to Russia. I don't see Russia as like a close friend of mine at all, or a free country or anything like that. I'm just saying, I think it's fair to judge leaders on how they do for their country. They have one job. Do a good job for your country. Make it better. And
you think Russia's doing well?
A lot better than Ukraine.
Yup.
I mean, a lot of Ukrainians have fled Ukraine to Russia. A lot.
Well, yeah, they're under siege right now.
No, but I'm just saying, like...
Right. So the question was, are you more sympathetic to Putin's position or Zelensky? And then he gave you the reason that a leader should do good for their country. And then you agreed with the fact that Ukraine's not doing so well. Sounds like an agreement to me.
Russia, actually, for a country at war, is thriving. I think it's got deeper problems. War is not good for any economy over time or any country over time. But there's been such a massive infusion of Chinese investment into Russia in the past couple of years that people in, say, Moscow, city of 12 million, they don't feel the privation that populations under war typically
There's a reason he made that deal with North Korea to have their people backing him up on the battle lines.
I'm sure that's exactly right. I mean, there are a lot of theories on that. I've heard a lot of things, but here's
because NATO is inching up on their doorstep. Quality said, I like Putin. I hate Zelensky. And if you don't like it, Fredo, you can fuck right off. I mean, I'm not going to say I like Putin. Number one, I don't know who the fuck he is. I've never met this fuck. and he is definitely not a nice guy to his country. But that wasn't the question. It was a relative question. Which are you more sympathetic to? Very easy answer. Putin. Matthew said, if we were at war with Canada, do you think we would allow Canadians to flee into the States? Probably not. Probably not. Not a smart idea. That's how you get war on American territory. That's something we don't want. Hey, shout out to Unwanted Foe. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Been a minute. Always very good to see you, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very much appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and welcome to the party. Golden said, I like that Putin still practices judo. That bias, I mean, just become Russian. Just become Russian, bro. What are you going to do? Hey, indie film, dropping dollar bills. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Said bling, 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 and bourbon. Well, dilly to that. I definitely didn't almost spill this entire mug on the keyboard. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, out sponsoring yourself. Very much appreciated, sir. All right, let's keep this party raging.
To have their people backing them up on the battle lines.
I'm sure that's exactly right. I mean, there are a lot of theories on that. I've heard a lot of things, but here's the only point that I'm making from an American perspective. Americans fall into this trap, which is a childish trap, where
are you going to let them do this and let them do that?
Where they superimpose like a really clear moral dichotomy onto foreign conflicts where there's like a great guy and an evil guy.
Yes.
And they're able to...
Orange man, bad.
Because they don't know anything, because they've never been anywhere, and they don't actually... Their leaders...
Like Chris Cuomo.
I'm talking about don't kind of take the time to understand that they don't understand. The more you know, the more you realize you really don't know. Because do you speak Russian? I don't think so. So like, how the hell do you know what's going on? You don't know. The best you can do is like be open-minded and let evidence guide your conclusions. So from an American perspective, what we've learned is the U.S. capacity for projecting strength through the military is a lot less than we thought it was. We couldn't beat Russia. We didn't beat Russia. They won.
Do you really think that America...
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Because to Chris Cuomo's point, if we did declare war and we did send our actual military there, it wouldn't be the same thing. But we didn't do that, as Chris also pointed out. It's a proxy war. So I don't know if you can necessarily say that about the U.S. military. But certainly the forces that were there were not enough.
Through the military is a lot less than we thought it was. We couldn't beat Russia. We didn't beat Russia. They won.
Do you really think that America was putting the full force of its might into that situation?
Short of nuclear conflict, yes.
Zelensky has done nothing but complain about us not giving them what they needed.
Yeah, no shit. Oh my God. Even when I agree with you, the reasons that you have for the positions that we both have are so stupid. What did he just say? So yeah, I agree that this was not the full force of the American military. There was no F-16s. There was no fucking tanks. There was no fucking drones. Well, I mean, there might have been some, but I mean, you know, powered by us, manned by us, all that stuff. And I think that's fair to say. And so I'm with you. And then he's got to go and say that.
Beat Russia, they won.
Do you really think that America was putting the full force of its might into that situation?
Short of nuclear conflict, yes.
Zelensky has done nothing but complain.
What does Zelensky complaining have to do with the reality of whether or not the American military was there in full force? Those are completely separate ideas. What Zelensky thinks is not fact. Despite what Chris Cuomo might think, Zelensky's words are not fact. Matthew said if we committed to it, we would either win or we would all lose. My bet's on the former, but yeah, exactly. Want to vote said Zelensky is nothing but a panhandler at an international scale right now. He hasn't even allowed a new presidential election to occur because of all of this. Well, according to Chris Cuomo, that's totally fine because, you know, they're at war. So he's just the president. He can do whatever he wants. Yes, he literally said that.
About us not giving...
Okay, he didn't literally say that, but he literally gave that message.
Them what they needed. We gave them like HIMARS. Everything we're giving them. I mean, you know, because you've been studying the situation. I've been there twice during the conflict. And it's like World War I level warfare there.
No,
so it's not like we're using our most... Now they're using drones from like retail.
The most high-tech warfare ever conducted. In fact, it's so high-tech, it's moving so fast that I don't think most people even understand what's going on there. But it's a war.
They were digging trenches. Yeah, now there's been an infusion of drone technology that they're using, but they were digging trenches.
Like, what Americans can't... You just need to like change your mind a little bit on this. We don't have the power to do everything that we want around the world.
Agreed.
We certainly can't do it simultaneously.
Agreed.
And my concern about entering into hot wars with anybody is that you expose your weakness. If you enter into a hot war with someone, you have to win. Otherwise, everyone knows how weak you are. And then...
But you don't think that's true for Russia, that they don't look really weak because they couldn't roll over Ukraine?
They did. They did. And not only did they roll over Ukraine, they rolled over NATO.
They said it would be done in 3 days.
The truth is, it's a silly conversation. Russia has nuclear weapons. It has hypersonic weapons. Russia could eliminate Ukraine in about 10 seconds.
Well,
along with the rest of the world.
Bombing residential areas. It's going after infrastructure where they know civilians are. So it's not like they're holding out.
Let's just be honest. And I hope they never will.
Well, again, to be fair, I think what Chris Cuomo was saying is that the level of warfare that's going on, if the U.S. had the full force of its military, that we wouldn't be in it wouldn't be a battlefield where they're digging trenches. They would be in offices or in tanks or using drones and all that stuff, and from the very beginning. Or maybe not necessarily from the very beginning, but at the entrance of the U.S. I don't know, like given the okay. Well, I don't remember exactly how it played out, but you know what I mean. When America comes in, if we were full cocked, and we had American soldiers just going over there in droves, that I think that's what Chris Cuomo is talking about, and Zelensky or Tucker saying that we did put all of our force, and I disagree with that. Anyway, said again, Russia over Ukraine, and took what they wanted, and now they're still there trying to establish what they want and keep it when there is a truce. Montefiore said if the U.S. used its full force, then China would start using their forces. It would become a full-blown world war. Bingo. Exactly. Matthew said Russia took every inch of ground they wanted and held it. Ukraine put up a longer fight than was expected with our help. Russia still got what they wanted. And Gilm said also, Russia taking the land they want. None of this means that they're going to invade Poland. And if that were the case, then at that point when they do, that is when we get involved. Like, what's next? There's two fucking neighbors in Ukraine arguing, and so we got to send somebody to fix it? Like, what are we talking about? Quality said, God fucking damn it. Russia has hypersonic missiles that can hit anywhere on the planet in less than 30 minutes and carry nuclear payloads. They can annihilate all our military bases in Europe. Yeah. So I think it's a little odd that Tucker's saying, yeah, we went full cocked when we clearly didn't. Yeah, and we could do nothing to stop it. Russia wants the war over. And certainly seems like it. There was a deal struck.
No civilians are, so it's not like they're holding out.
Let's just be honest. And I hope they never will. And I hate war. And I hate. So
why haven't they? By the way, let's say, of course, they could. Their nuclear capability.
Hypersonic weapons.
So, but they're not. So what?
Mutually assured destruction.
The entire city like that because
they're not.
Because that's World War III. That's why.
Right.
And they want to get out.
What do you mean right? What do you mean right, motherfucker? Yeah, right. Why did you say that? As if you made a point. I hate people like this. I feel like at a certain level I'm nitpicking, but also it's very telling.
But they're not. So
why? Take out the entire city like that because
they're not.
Because that's World War III. That's why.
Right.
And they.
You were just asking well, why aren't they doing that then? Why aren't they doing that? Well, because that's World War. Yeah, of course. That's what I would say. That they what like you're still weaselly little fuck.
Want to get out without a nuclear exchange.
Right.
And what I worry, it's not a defense of Russia. By the way, anybody who's trying to avoid a nuclear exchange, I'm on your side.
Yes.
And that would include almost no Republican members of the Senate. Okay. They're all.
Nor Chris Cuomo.
Like full blown. They're old. They don't care. Like I said, they don't care about their grandkids or humanity itself or whatever. They're totally willing to risk nuclear war.
Although Lindsey Graham just took a step backwards, which I thought was surprising.
It's completely silly. He's blaming. Look, a lot's going to come out. We reached an impasse on the question of whether Ukraine is selling weapons. They are. That's a fact. And I bet my house on it. Okay. I know that to be true, but I can't tell you how I know that. So I'm going to have to just wait to be vindicated.
But it's not a debate.
All right. So let's move on to the immigration debate. And we'll look at the chapters. If we're still going once we get through the debate stuff, then we can go back. Talking about immigration.
And a slave can't. It's that simple. So if you want to remain free and not enslaved, then you have to have free speech. And no one else seemed to agree with that except this like South African guy. The South African
ironic
rock. Maybe it's ironic. I don't know. I mean, I'm highly opposed to immigration, but I have to say, including my best friend, a lot of the best people I know are immigrants, and they appreciate America for what actually makes it great, which is its core freedoms. And
what do you mean you're against immigration?
I was just going to make the distinction.
We have too much immigration, and we've made the country totally
there's a difference between
unstable.
too much and none.
Well, not against immigration.
You just said
in
that,
theory.
Okay.
We need to shut down all immigration right now until we can
Fair.
retain or regain equilibrium. And like
that should have been that when you say I'm against immigration that sounds like the concept that you don't want anybody coming here. And that's not what this country is.
Figure out what it is that holds us all together as a nation. It's too chaotic. It's too crazy right now. No more people, period. None. Cap it right now. And then just cooling off period. 30 or 40 years.
Cooling off from what? This is all
cooling off from 11, 20 million people coming here.
stuff that Trump has stoked as the biggest problem we have.
It is.
Trump is the one who stoked the fires of immigration. It wasn't Joe Biden who literally said, surge the border. And then when they surged the border, let them the fuck in. But yeah, it's Trump's fault. Orange man bad.
Cooling off from what? This is all stuff that Trump has stoked as the biggest problem we have.
It is the biggest problem we have. I'll tell you exactly why. Because it creates chaos and disunity. If you have a continental-sized country like we do, the main question you have always, every day, you're thinking about all day long, how do we hold together?
Mm-hmm.
How do 50 states not become 50 countries? I mean,
They don't. And I think it's even worse than that. It's not even a matter of 50 different countries. We have each little fucking city has this block and that block and that block. So every city is its own clusterfuck of cultures. Yes, I want to vote. Yes, Trump let in over 8 million illegal immigrants over the last 4 years.
Come on, man.
Oh, wait a minute. Quality said, Lutch, you sick bastard. We are only getting the best and brightest from immigration. I mean, maybe 40 years ago.
that will naturally happen, right? Because each governor sees them
conveniently when my parents came here, but my parents are awesome. I mean, at least compared to the illegal ones. You know,
out of 50 states not become 50 countries. I mean, that will naturally happen, right? Because each governor sees himself as Caesar. So how do you keep them cohesive? And the only way to do that is short of force.
Bro.
Get nukes and tell them to obey. But short of that, short of becoming a totalitarian country.
Did anybody figure out where that reference is from?
It's by consent. It's because everybody thinks we're in this together. We're all Americans. We have this in common. And it used to be race and religion. It no longer is. Okay, so what is it?
The American identity. I'm working on it, Tucker. I'm working on it. All right? I'm doing my best.
Crickets. What is it? What is it that we all have in common? And no one is even trying to answer that question. And
I have answered the question. I just need to get the message out. But I am absolutely correct about this. Unwanted vote said close off immigration for the next 20 years, except for the people that can either pass a Ninja Warrior course or are specific engineers or doctorates that are in high demand. Yeah, totally fine with that. Totally fine with that.
Until you can answer that question, you are going to move toward disunity. The drug cartels will take over, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and they'll be their own thing. And, New England will be its own thing. And, God knows what will happen. But
the American identity. There is a culture that exists or that is quickly fading because of all this illegal immigration, not helped by the legal immigration. But we have a culture that does exist, that is not Christianity, that is not being white. It does exist. It's just not well articulated. It is the very similar to Christian values. They're American values. Assimilation is a necessary part of an immigration process. And that just went out the window. I don't know when, but it seems like under Obama. But I mean, would not be surprised if it was way earlier. They said, I'm okay with immigration if people want to be Americans. So no more flags of other countries. You ran from Guatemala. You are no longer Guatemalan. I mean, I get what you're saying. I am not necessarily going to be, saying, no, you can't have any other flag. But yeah, you should be America first. You can be proud of your Guatemalan heritage, Just like people are proud of their Italian or French or Polish or African, Ethiopia, whatever it is. You can have that pride after America first. If that's not good enough for you, then get the fuck out of my country. Now, they said if you're proud of your country of birth, then go back. And again, I think there's no issue with being proud of your country. There's an issue with being more proud of your country than the one that you're trying to get into. Quality said, so freedom, hard work, shared American identity, and blowing shit up on Independence Day. Pretty much. Family, community, grace, meritocracy, capitalism. I mean, the things that make America, America. Not Christianity, not whiteness, but the actual values that we all hold, regardless of what we believe, as long as we are not actively subverting American culture.
Over, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and they'll be their own thing, and New England will be its own thing, and God knows what'll happen, but it'll break apart because that's just the nature of people, of human society. So we need a period where we can think through what it is to be an American, what unites us, what's our civic religion. It can't just be everyone's gay. That's not enough. Pride flag is not enough to hold a country together. What is it? And immigration.
It can't just be that everyone's gay. We're the gay country. I'm good.
Makes it impossible because it's too much churn. Things change too fast. Like, who are these people?
Well, no. A caller said maybe a little whiteness. No color. That is the leftist identitarian bullshit that has destroyed our American culture. It doesn't fucking matter. Because white people can be shitty as fuck. White people cannot care about family, community, justice, meritocracy. Black people can not care about this, that, the other. Indian people can not care about these things. The color is irrelevant. It is irrelevant as long as you put American values first. It's that simple. It's that simple. It doesn't need to be either or. It needs to be a list of priorities. America first. I mean, I knew you were not like dead serious, but you bring up a good point. Context, and I'm allowed to celebrate Guamian heritage and a flag because Guam is a U.S. territory and I'm half white. Best of both worlds. Can you see why I'm such a middle-of-the-road fence-sitter centrist? A little bit. But yeah, I mean, there's no issue with having pride in your ancestors. No issue with that. But America has to come first if you are an American. If you are a legal resident of this country, then you must put our country first. Full stop. End of story.
Well, that's how we've populated the country.
Not at this scale. We've never had immigration like this as a portion of population. We've never had it. This is, and by the way, it's happening at exactly the time when technology is certain to like overturn our economy and employment structure. Like AI is going to change everything. It's too much change at once. People,
yeah, right. Like it's not bad enough that all the truck drivers are going to be out of a job once these fucking AI self-driving cars are there. Now let's just add in 8 million or not. I'm going like 20 million new people. That'll work out well.
Brains can't handle this much change. And whoever opened the spigot and flooded our country with 15 or 25 million illegals in the past 4 years should be in prison for the rest of his life. That's the worst thing that's ever been done to this country. And I don't know if we can recover from it. And I think it'll become obvious as soon as there's an economic downturn that the fundamentals have not been tended to at all.
But when
same answer, because principles.
I'm really worried about it.
I understand that you're worried about it, and I understand why you would be.
Yeah, because you're so stupid and ignorant. But I'm Chris Cuomo, and I'm not worried about anything because I know everything about everything. Duh.
Right?
But I just wanted to say,
it's being preached to you for years.
No, it's not preached to me. I notice it.
Well, but I'm saying, look, this is
how many Americans want their kids to serve in the military now?
Very few.
Right. So that's a huge.
That's been true for a long time, by the way.
Not a long time.
Longer than the last 4 years.
Oh, for sure. Oh, it precedes Biden for sure, but not the last.
See, these people are stuck in orange man bad. So you're trying to say that Trump and everything good and now Trump's going to fix everything and the Democrats? Well, kind of, but that's not really the point that we're making. We're zooming out and talking about the last 20, 30, 40 years of development of this country, which is not any one president. It is a culture.
Last 20, not the last 20.
I don't think you can look at immigration as an unprecedented bad in America. It is America. Otherwise, you don't have one.
Not at this scale. Not at this scale. It's too many people.
Agreed.
But even if you wanted
no
to, even if you wanted to look at the people, even if you want to say there are 15 million people who aren't supposed to be here, they all came in illegally. Okay. One, you see how easier it is to say that than to do something about it, right? Because he was going to come in and round them all up, and now
it's an unsolvable
And now he is.
problem.
well,
Oh, man. Shout out to Tom Homan. I'm waiting for him to do more podcasts. I can't wait until he's on some podcast here or there.
it's the question is it a problem or is it
Yes, it is a problem.
a challenge and it is a mixed bag? You
No, it is a problem.
have 7 million open jobs in the country that are necessary. What does that tell you?
It means that if there's 7 million open jobs and 20 million illegal immigrants, then it means that we have too many immigrants here.
You don't have enough people to fill them. Okay. So that means that the 15 million people haven't taken everybody's jobs and
Why are they government benefits?
saturated the market.
Why?
This is a little bit racist because we was talking about Guatemala and Guam Tech was talking about Guam, but whatever. Brown people are brown, right? And Film said, if the people protesting immigration were flying American flags, not Mexican flags or whatever flag, I would be on their side. What? You mean the people protesting for immigration? For illegal immigration? You would be on their side if they were flying American flags? Try to maybe say a little more on this. I don't. It sounds like you're saying as long as illegal immigrants are flying American flags, then it's all good. That's what this sounds like, and I don't think that's what you believe. So,
why are we giving government benefits to people here illegally?
It's a legitimate political question. Now, when
It's not
and you don't have an answer, do you?
a political question. It's a social question. It's like a core question. It's like if you want them to fill these jobs, why are you subsidizing them not to work?
well, it's not that they're subsidizing not to work.
Why are you
But it is though. It is exactly that.
And it's like if you want them to fill these jobs, why are you subsidizing them not to work?
Well, it's not that they're subsidizing not to work.
Why are you subsidizing them at all?
Because that was that's why I'm saying it's a political decision. They decided to do that. You could just
Okay, but why? That's what he's asking you. He's not asking you, is the reason a political reason? He asked you why. That means what is the reason? And so if you're saying, well, because, we're the party, the Democrats are the party of not being racist. So if we deported people, it would look racist. Then I'd be like, okay, well, yep, that tracks. That's the reason. That's the political reason. One Defoe said it would make it easier to side with illegal immigrants if they were pro-American rather than flying the flags of where they were fleeing from. I guess on an emotional level, I suppose. Like the analogy always has to be, your house. If you think about your house, like, I suppose that if people are coming into my house, eating my food, sleeping in my bed, and they're like, fuck you, Lutch, fuck you. I suppose it's better for like, hey, Lutch, you're such a nice guy. But the issue still stands that they're in my fucking house, taking up my shit, eating my food. So, I mean, okay, agreed. But what are we talking about?
decide not to do that. Now, they don't get Social Security benefits. Very often you'll hear...
Well, they're young people.
But you have-
No, they don't get Social Security at 34 years old.
a third of, and again, these are all rough estimates
Yeah,
because
right? They're fucking young.
your point
Why
about
would they get
tracking, we don't do
Social
this well here
Security?
either. You have a third, let's say maybe close to a half of illegal entrants working in this country whose employers pay into Social Security for them.
No, I know all these
They do
numbers.
not get any of the benefits
Right,
of that.
so we should be grateful to the
no,
to the Haitians.
not grateful.
Oh, I love you. Yeah. We should be grateful to these fucking Haitians.
But you got to see it as a mixed bag. It's not they are looking.
No, I don't. Don't fucking tell me what I have to fucking see when you can't see jack shit. As long as you don't, I mean, that's part of, they're eating it. They're eating it. But they're saying Morty's really nice. So that makes it better. Does it though? Of course not.
Little demon seed running around.
Speaking of Morty's peanut butter, if we get $20 more dollars, since we missed the goal, $20 more dollars, I'll get Morty his peanut butter.
I see it as the greatest failure this country's ever presided over, which is the failure to encourage its own citizens to buy into the country sufficient to have kids.
Yep.
You have to have an economy that allows young people who aren't rich, whose parents aren't rich, to get married and have kids. And we haven't done that. And the middle class is now the minority of the country. It's super hard for people to get married and have kids. And so rather than fix that problem, because it would, I don't know, make Larry Fink less rich, you have to import people because, we need workers. Well, what about, we both grew up in a world where people had kids and they don't now. And whose fault is that? It's our leader's fault. That's like a core fault. That's like a true sin.
Well, it's always been both, right? I'm second generation in this country. So you've always been doing both. You've been having babies and you've been bringing in people because that's the American opportunity.
But what you haven't had is the birth rate.
But okay, so just in my own family, Mama Lutch, Papa Lutch came to this country, then had 3 American children. And I mean, you could talk about like they got their citizenship, not came here illegally and had anchor. I'm not a fucking anchor baby. So just in my own family, we've helped with the replacement rate. We brought in 2 people, but we made 3 Americans.
Babies, and you've been bringing in people because that's the American opportunity.
But what you haven't had is the birth rate just like ending for native-born Americans, ending. And then you have the thing I referred to earlier, which is the chaos of change. Change produces chaos. Now, hopefully there's, again, an equilibrium that is achieved over time, but...
You don't think Trump made a boogeyman of illegal entrance in this country by saying they're the bad hombres, they're all bringing the murders, and you know that the crime...
Not what he said. What, almost 9 years later, this was his first ever, whatever you want to call it, like his first issue, his first scandal, they're rapists, they're murderers. Some of them are! That's all that we're saying. We don't know which ones are rapists and murderers if we don't vet them. It's not complicated. How is it 2025 and you're still talking about a talking point from 2015?
Entrance in this country by saying they're the bad hombres, they're all bringing the murders, and you know that the crime rate among that population isn't the same as the native population.
A single crime by an illegal alien is unacceptable. Illegal immigration is unacceptable.
The one is too many is a very convenient standard.
It's not.
We don't use that anywhere else.
You're not from here. You're not American. What are you doing here? You broke laws of my country to get here.
Yes.
And you expect me to like it, and me to kiss your ass, and me to give you housing vouchers and food stamps and free education for your kids. What? I didn't sign.
Otherwise, you're racist.
Enough for that. I was born here. I actually like immigrants. That's what I'm trying to say. Elon Musk, like my best friend and business partner, a million immigrants I love, but inviting people in illegally, immediately putting them on welfare when they have no relevant skills to a tech economy, which they don't. A lot of them can't read. We don't know the real names. How is that good for America? In no sense is it. It's the destruction of America. And everyone knows that. And everyone's so paralyzed by race guilt, they can't say it.
Yep.
But it's not about race. It's about a basic question that any country has to ask itself, which is, what do I have in common with my neighbors? Why are we all in this together? I got
the American identity.
Nothing in common with our neighbors now. We don't speak the same language. So how is this a country? Like, these are not questions that racists ask. These are questions that any normal, logical person would ask. Like, what is this?
But
that's why no one wants to fight for the country, because they're attacking people who are born here. Our wars are fought by white men from the South and the Midwest. I mean, actually fought. And that's provable. That's just a fact.
We have a lot of minorities in the military also. You could argue it's one of their last...
Non sequitur after non sequitur after non sequitur. In case you don't know, non sequitur is when you just say shit that has nothing to do with anything. Whether or not there are black people in the military has nothing to do with immigration.
Provable. That's just a fact.
We have a lot of minorities in the military also. You could argue it's one of their last avenues to equality.
But every war that this country has fought so far has been disproportionately fought by those two groups, and those are exactly the groups that our leadership class hates. And it's constantly, diversity is designed to hurt those people.
But most of the leadership class are those people.
You're absolutely right about that. The war on whites is being waged by whites. It's 100% true. What is that about? I'm not Sigmund Freud. I don't know. I'm just
fucking white liberal women
telling you that if, our entire media establishment and not just our, the vibe, the law, diversity is designed to discriminate against those people. So why do they fight your wars? That's just true. And then normal people, I put myself in this class, are like, I don't even know what it is that we're fighting for. More trans people or whatever. What is this project about? These are all answerable questions, by the way.
I got it. Just let me talk to the people who matter, and we will have a movement. The American identity. Something simple that we can all agree upon, we can all buy into.
All is not lost. I'm just saying you need to just pause and think through the basics.
If you think that my idea of the American identity is better than nothing, then share this video. It doesn't matter if you think anybody's going to click on it or not. Just share it so that more people will see it.
I think the country is the best country in the world, totally salvageable. We can turn this around. I'm not talking about the economy. I mean, the social fabric, which is much more important than the economy. But we need to do it now and take it seriously and not just listen to AEI and measure everything in GDP. Those people are stupid.
So you don't understand what it is to be American anymore?
Oh my God. I like this is such a pet peeve when you're in a, we'll call it a heated discussion, if not a debate. When you're in a discussion like this and you make a strong point and the person just talks about something else, like, hey, motherfucker, I'm a person here. I'm part of this conversation. Did you acknowledge that I was just saying words, or are you just sitting there waiting to say what you want to say that has nothing to do with what we're talking about? Just breezes right
Will you
over.
tell me? I think those people, but we need to.
So you don't understand.
Take it seriously and not just like listen to AEI and measure everything in GDP. Those people are stupid.
So you don't understand.
No, be like, interesting point that you made. I would like to move that over to something about, something else. No, I'm just going to say shit because I got nothing else to say here. So if I actually engage in the conversation, everyone's going to see how fucking stupid I am. So I'm just going to ask another question.
Understand what it is to be American anymore.
Will you tell me?
I think
we got 350 million people here. What unites them?
The American
the opportunity.
Identity.
Will you tell me?
I think
we got 350 million people here. What unites them?
The opportunity.
What opportunity? Economic opportunity?
Opportunity to live a life of your own making, to succeed or fail on your own merits.
Okay, so the meritocracy, to be judged by what you do, not what you look like.
That's right.
Okay.
But DEI seems like a whole thing. Is that where we about to head into? Yep. Oh, I called it.
So every institution in American life, almost without any exception at all, has abandoned that standard and now has something called DEI or diversity hiring.
Not anymore. You just had an administration strip it all out.
Yeah, but you fucking, if you had your way, it would.
They all do. Still.
You don't get credit for your enemy's wins. You don't get to be like, well, not anymore. Like, yeah, people used to do that, but like, come on. I mean, the guy that I hate and I'm constantly talking shit about, fix that. So, I mean, what are you talking about, bro? Where would we be with DEI if DEI number 1, patient 0, was our fucking president? The audacity! The audacity!
Has something called DEI or diversity hiring.
Not anymore.
Or DEIA. You
just had an administration strip it all out.
They all do.
Good.
Still in place. I mean, they're fighting it. But where were you when every institution decided to hire on the basis of sex and race, which is
the face of CNN pushing it as hard as it could be pushed.
Opposite of the standard you're describing.
Why did they do that?
Because you told them to.
That's a really interesting question. I mean, from my perspective,
yes,
it's an attempt to destroy the West. And because what is the West?
We got to rebuild because the West is imperialist and racist.
You said it yourself. What is America? You said it's a place where you can rise or fall on your own merits. And that's the one thing that's been destroyed.
So I actually agree. That's the one thing that they hate. Meritocracy is the one thing that they hate. They want everybody to be on the same level, even if that means bringing down our best people to be on the same level as the fucking losers.
Where you can rise or fall on your own merits. And that's the one thing that's been destroyed. So I actually agree with you, but we don't have that anymore. And
it was destroyed. Was it destroyed when women were given the vote or when minorities were given the vote?
Of course not.
Okay, because they're...
I mean, women... it's been a really difficult thing to wrestle with the notion of women in politics, because I don't think that it is fair or just to be an adult human American citizen and not have a say in our political process. But you can't get away from the fact that giving women the vote and putting women in the workplace was an active attack on our way of life in terms of doubling the workforce and disappearing the middle class. All these things. I'm not comfortable enough personally to say that women shouldn't do this, that, or the other. That's not my position. I just can't ignore the fact that it really did change the entire landscape. And I think that there should be some onus on women in general to address that and be like, okay, we're going to be in the workforce now. So all those jobs that were available to you, we're now cutting those in half. And that's okay, because we should be entitled to those opportunities. But because of the fact that it's changing, something.
There had been a system that was limiting.
But women were given the vote in 1919, and minorities were given, minorities had the vote in a lot of places. Some they didn't, but the Civil Rights Act was 1965. So it's been 60 years.
So the point is, look, I get that. I get what the frustration with DEI was. I understand.
No, it's not the frustration. It's that it gets to the fundamental question of what is it? I asked you, what's an American? You said, you don't know what it is to be American. I said, I really don't. I want to. And I think we need to figure that out. And you said, I know what it is. It's anyone who comes here can rise or fall on his own merits. And I said, where were you when that was destroyed? It's totally destroyed. We need to rebuild it. It's not about white men being mad, white rage. Thank you, Mark Milley. It's about the principle that undergirds the whole country. It's what it is to be American, and they took it away. And no one said anything about it. And anyone who did was called a racist.
No, listen,
so evil. You're evil bigot. Guys, we are coming up on the 2.5 hour mark. If you would like to keep the party raging, you know how to do it.
I get the cancel culture concerns.
We still got, DEI. We got transhumanism versus Christianity. Is Trump more divisive or uniting? We can skip that. We got an abortion debate and debating free speech. All still to come if the party rages on.
It's not cancel culture. It's like fundamental, dude. What? Since we don't have...
No, I'm saying being called racist for saying what you just said is a function of cancel culture. It's unfair.
Who cares about that?
But what I'm saying is this. You didn't have minorities being given the opportunities because they were minorities. That was something that America wanted to correct.
As of when?
Correct, because it is the opposite of equality. Okay. And it was the same with women. And that's...
So what does the E in DEI stand for? It stands for equality? That's what you're pushing for with DEI? No? Okay.
What you should be trying to do.
No.
Not to the exclusion of anyone else, not to the exclusion...
Except white men.
...of merit, but you don't want people held back because of who or what they are.
Unless they're white men.
Either people, as you said, I'm just quoting you, my oracle.
Thank you.
That what it is to be an American is to participate in a system that judges you on the basis of what you do,
yes,
not on who you are.
Unless you're a white man.
Where you came from, what your parents did, what they look like.
Land of opportunity.
Land of opportunity. And I pressed, what does that mean? And you said what I just said. And so every institution in American life to this day, the meaningful ones, the universities, the large corporations, the federal government, to this day has abandoned that and moved aggressively in the other direction. There are federal set-asides, the ladders of success, the merit badges that we require to enter these institutions, mostly in education, totally determined by race and sex. And that's the opposite of what you said. So then, and that's been going on for 60 years. So, okay, so clearly it's not the land of opportunity. What is it?
No, I believe
it's a giant pinata party where the most aggressive person gets the biggest pile. So Larry Fink is the richest guy because he elbowed people in the face the hardest. I mean, that's kind of what it is. Actually.
There is a little bit of who and how the system gets worked, but I would disagree that it has been destroyed. I would disagree that because you still have whites in dominant positions everywhere that you can imagine.
It's not about whites. It's about people. It's about human beings. Are you going to judge the person on the content of his character, the color of his skin?
But you weren't judging them on the content of their character. And when you say...
No, it's hard to...
No, maybe, Chris, you weren't judging people on the character of on their character, but on the color of their skin. Racist, maybe?
No, if you look at corporate studies of what diversity does to them...
Oh, I didn't even need to see his face. Corporate studies.
When you see,
it's hard to know
if you look at corporate studies of what diversity does to them, it increases productivity, increases.
You're talking about the McKinsey study from 2018.
Does it though?
Which has been, it's a joke. It's been utterly debunked, and they were selling their diversity consultants.
I'm not referring to that study, but I remember.
There's no study that shows hiring people on the basis of skin color makes a company more
on the basis of skin color. It's that you remove the restriction.
There are no restrictions.
There are no restrictions.
That you won't hire them as often because of their skin color.
Then okay, I have a simple solution for this. It's called standardized testing, and it was created in order to solve the problem that you described, which is bias. And so standardized testing was...
Yeah, but that's racist.
A good faith effort by the WASPs, by the way, who ran the big American universities to be fair. They're trying to be fair. It's like, okay, let's just pick people on the basis of their intelligence, their aptitude. It's an aptitude test.
Right.
And that kind of worked, actually. It elevated not just WASPs, but, Jews and Catholics and black people and everybody was judged on the basis. And it was imperfect, of course, but basically it worked. And it's why America dominated the world, because it had the smartest people in positions of power. And then at the apogee, at the top, we abandoned it. And we're like, oh, this isn't working. What do you mean it's not working? It's totally working. It's working because then we get the cream of all the other countries. The smartest people around the world move here, including some of my friends. Mm-hmm. The best. And then we abandoned it. And we're like, well, that's unfair. How is it unfair? It's the definition of fairness. You're judging someone without even knowing what he looks like or his sex on the basis of his performance.
Nah, it's racist.
How is that unfair? They never explained. They just took it away.
It's because it's racist, Tucker. Come on, Tucker. It's not my job to educate you.
And now it's gone. And now in federal contracting, if you're a woman-owned business, why do I have an interest in a woman-owned business? I don't care who owns the business.
Well, again, you're ignoring the impact of the Trump administration, which has been...
Well, it's been 6 weeks.
I know, but I'm saying you strip it out, you'll see what happens. I don't think diversity is our problem. And standardized testing, I don't have a problem with it.
Diversity was a problem.
I'm not saying you did. I'm stating it as a proposition. What I'm saying is that the testing...
Again, another non sequitur.
Assumes equal starting points. If you and I are both going to take a standardized test right now in an area that I am prepared for and you're not, then we're not going to do the same.
Well, go ahead and...
Exactly. He took the words right out of my mouth. Well, then fucking prepare, you fucking moron. Exactly where I thought he was going to go. That's racist. Hey, a shout out to boss. Welcome to the party. Damn. Can't get the person turquoise wizard wand emoji. StreamYard, come on, man. I need those emojis and I need my Rumble chat on StreamYard. Like I said, non sequitur. Latin for it does not follow. He's been doing that a lot. Welcome to the party. Folks, we had a poll earlier. I'd be interested to see what you think. Can Chris Cuomo earn his redemption? Yes, no, or he already has. What do you think, sir?
Right now in an area that I am prepared for and you're not, then we're not going to do the same.
Well, go ahead and prepare for it then. I mean, I don't know what to say. What's a better way to do it?
The point, well, I'm not saying there's a better way. I'm saying that I don't have a problem with standardized testing. I don't have a problem with...
It sure sounds like you do.
SATs. And
then what is the point of what you're saying right now? Because he just told you the standardized testing and aptitude test is a way to judge merit without even looking at a person. But then you brought in being unprepared. Who's stopping you from preparing? Well, I said, hell no. I don't know how he can win. Oh, so his brother's the one that's voting or running, excuse me. Not him. I don't know if that's better or worse, but it's Andrew Cuomo who's running, and it's New York, bro. I really don't know. I don't think that he can win, Andrew Cuomo, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
And people having to use them to get into educational institutions. I don't have any problem with it. I'm saying that you also have to be open to the reality that the kids aren't going to do the same on the test when one has had a good education and one has not had a good education.
You know, there's a lot of science behind that. And the truth is darker and harder to deal with, okay? Which is that intelligence is the product of environment to some extent, but it's mostly genetic. And
some people are fucking stupid.
Intelligence is...
Actually, most people are fucking stupid.
A lot of factors in success, but intelligence is the single most important over time in big populations. Smarter populations do better. They make more money. They go to jail less often. They stay married. Singapore is a more successful society than the United States for this reason. Okay. So that's the truth. If you have a meritocratic society, the smartest people will have most of the money and most of the success. And that doesn't seem fair to people is the truth, actually. And as we got better at sorting the smart people and sending them to Harvard and McKinsey and, you know, on to private equity,
the government just started giving stupid people money.
It became more obvious. No, it's true, though. It became obvious that the meritocracy was producing
and you know, that reaction was from some type of eye roll, like, oh, that's so horrible. Some people are smarter and smarter people should be able to do more and get paid for it and get their meritocratic rewards. Oh, God.
Private equity. It became more obvious. No, it's true, though. It became obvious that the meritocracy was producing an incredibly lopsided society. And that freaked people out and it felt unfair to them. And two people in the early 1990s wrote a book on it, Dick Herrnstein and Murray. And it was called The Bell Curve. Mm-hmm. And it had a chapter on race in it, which was, you know, made a lot of people mad. They could have taken that chapter out and it would have been, I think, the transformative book ever because it described what I just said, which is the meritocracy produces an outcome that you may not be ready for. Actually, because it's rooted in nature. And
yeah, well, I mean, shout out to George Carlin, and he's like, yeah, you ever think how dumb the average person is? Now think about the fact that 50% of the population is even dumber. That's a lot of dumb people.
You can't change it. And Head Start, which was designed to increase the IQ of poor kids, didn't work, and no one even wants.
Well, there you go, Trey. You were asking about Head Start the other day. I did actually see something else about how Head Start is a money suck. I don't know, but That's a second source right there.
Nature, and you can't change it. And Head Start, which was designed to increase the IQ of poor kids, didn't work. And no one even wants to talk about it anymore. It's really hard to change people's intelligence. And intelligence turns out to be the main predictor of economic success. So these are super complicated questions. But I know that a system that rewards people on the basis of race and punishes others on the basis of race creates hatred and division.
I don't think the point is, I don't think you have to do it that way, is what I'm saying. And I understand.
I can't get into college. If two people apply to college and they're different colors and the one with the lower SAT score is admitted because of his race, that's penalizing the one.
I understand, which is why it's no longer the law of the country.
It's true in every college.
It was 45 days ago, bro. Like, I don't know why you're acting like we did so much work to dispel that. If you had it your way, it still would be that way.
In the United States, as you know, especially the selective ones, including the one you went to.
But they changed the law.
They lie. In the Harvard.
Despite you, like, no thanks to you, bro. I don't understand why he feels like he can take credit for everything that he fights against.
Every college in the United States, as you know, especially the selective ones, including the one you went to.
But they changed the law.
They lie. And the Harvard case showed that. You can say.
Over what?
They did this with the UC system in California, which was once a great system when I grew up in that state, and it's now a joke because of this. But they basically found out that they were just like, we have too many Asians, can't have too many Asians.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
What was interesting to me about the case is that it wasn't white people. It was Asian people who were saying that they were being discriminated against.
So basically.
Yeah, so it's almost like the principle of race being a deciding factor is an issue, whether it helps white people or not. That would be the logical conclusion to that, right, Chris?
The way they shut down the conversation is by making everyone feel guilty about slavery, which no living person had anything to do with at all, and no living person I've ever met supports. I couldn't be more opposed to it. So I'm for free speech because I'm against slavery.
But it's not a coincidence that people of color, specifically African American, are at a different socioeconomic level given how they were introduced to the country, right? Because race is completely fabricated. There is no such thing as race.
Well,
we made it up.
I don't even know what you're talking about. What do you mean
cut open a black guy and a white guy, their genetics are the same.
That's okay.
Technically not really, but for all intents and purposes, sure, okay. And
we made race.
I don't know what you're.
We made race. We made it. We made it.
So Boxon, I'm glad we are over affirmative action. I hope we keep it that way. Rude.
Their genetics are the same.
That's okay.
We made race.
I don't know what you're.
We made race. We made it. We made it a thing. Just because you look different doesn't mean you're a different species. So we created it.
Hold on. No one's saying anyone's a different species.
I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying
I think we may be getting into science a little too deep.
I'm saying the science is very simple. Right?
So
we created race. And
wait, hold on. Wait, I don't know what you're talking about. So you're saying that there are no differences between the races? So for example, the genetic predisposition to certain diseases is fake?
There are cultural, there are ethnic, there are ethnic pockets, right? So Italians have certain things that are more common because of that.
No, that's made up.
Group of animals breeding with each other than you'll have with Irish people or with Polish people. Sure.
Yeah, so that's not made up. So those differences are what define the race. And unless you're saying those differences themselves are not real, then you're still as stupid as ever.
More common because of that group of animals breeding with each other than you'll have with Irish people or
that's what we call race.
With Polish people. Sure. And then as they all
so
mix,
you do acknowledge genetics is real.
Of course genetics is real. Okay, so genetics is everything. What I'm saying is that race.
Whoa!
What I'm saying
so
that
genetics is everything, but
genetics
race is
everything.
fake.
Race is a social.
Just like gender or sex is everything, but gender is a construct. And those differences are cultural, though. Are they though?
Construct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, race is a social construct in some ways.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that there are significant.
Look, Irish and Italians are different cultures, right? But they're the same people. They're just different.
They're not, though. They're not the same people. Neither are they the identical person, nor are they the same in any other aspect except for the fact that they are the same species. They don't speak the same language. They don't eat the same food. They don't have the same values. They don't live in the same place. They're not the same people. In any way you slice it, no, they are not the same people. Buck said he's not so far left as to call himself a white supremacist like Sam Cedar did the other day. Oh, my God. I'm really actually disappointed in you guys. I'm very disappointed in you guys. I had a calm ask. Hey, my video's blowing up and all these fucking fruitcakes are in the comment section. Build that shit up. Build that shit up so we get more Not one of you. Not one of you. Not one comment. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Different cultures.
And now the video has died down.
speak different ways, eat different
They're not
things.
the same people. They don't look the same, and they're not genetically the same. That's not true.
They are genetically the same.
Well, that's untrue. It's factually untrue.
They're not.
And you can see it in all kinds of ways. What's the percentage of redheads in Sicily?
Just to let everybody know, it is free to leave a comment.
Pretty high.
I doubt it.
Okay. So what you're saying doesn't make any
But
sense.
that doesn't mean it's
if what
genetic. It's just where people decide to be.
No, hair color is determined by genetics. It's not a cultural construct.
I know, but I'm saying that
And neither is height or eye color or IQ.
having
Sorry.
more
Trust me, that's fact.
redheads in Italy is not just about genetics. It's about where
Yes, it is.
people populate, right? Like you could take look at Sicily, right? Look at the history of Sicily.
Are you the type of person who doesn't bring their phone when you're pooping? Seems like a great opportunity to leave a comment.
When North Africa winds up being there, right, and in power, you wind up having that mixed into the chemistry of everybody who's Sicilian.
Because genetics are real. That's exactly
but
right.
race as a thing we created.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure I understand the distinctions that you're drawing. I'm just saying that different people, different groups of people, and different
people are different. Not according to Chris Cuomo.
individuals have different genetic makeups. And they're not wildly different. We're all members of the same species. We are all created by God. As a Christian, I believe that. But we didn't have these problems when people were Christian because the underlying assumption was that God created everyone. Everyone has a soul. It's only when this became a secular society that hates God that you could treat people like animals and objects.
Well, slavery was during a time where it was a pretty
Slavery
heavy
is
Christian
nothing, is
influence.
nothing compared to AI and transhumanism. Nothing.
How
Nothing.
so?
Well, because slavery, evil though it is, it still exists, by the way, around the world, but it's evil. And Christians got rid of it. No other group did. Christians got rid of that because they thought it was evil because they thought God created each person. But even under certainly in the West, certainly in the United States, even under slavery here, evil as it was, slaves were still considered human. They didn't possess the same rights. But AI and transhumanism specifically seeks to redefine what a human being is. When you merge people with machines, then you
Is he going down the like Severance, Black Mirror, White Christmas line where we need to give rights to code?
don't acknowledge the existence of a soul. How could, if you believe that each person is a distinct soul, that God cares about each person like a speck of sand on the beach, each person.
But I don't. Where does that leave us, Tucker? It leaves us with understanding that Chris Cuomo is a fucking moron who has been propped up in every aspect of his life and will continue to be propped up, and thus will never, ever, ever, ever have any incentive to change anything about himself. I think it is definitely interesting to see the evolution where he's starting to, have more common sense, not fully, but more common sense than he did in the CNN days. Oh, does he have the backing? And he's already fucking like what? I mean, I know these things aren't super accurate. Like, come on, $10 million. Like, you good, bro? You good? $10 million. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
Big shout out to all of our donations. Very, very, very much appreciated. You guys are amazing. Amazing. And of course, our sponsor of the stream, Indiegogo. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much. Dean sent us away for a chunk there. Did we side quest the video where he came out of quarantine? All right, that'll be that's
And you were only gonna pay.
this is the last thing that I have open. Oh man, where are we?
Pay me 30. You're getting 30 grand. I'm getting 1,000.
You guys are getting paid?
Chris Cuomo. Well, that's not how you do that. We will end here.
All right, let's do a little bit of we here in terms of what this Georgia reopening means for the rest of us and obviously to the people there, and a little bit of me here as well. We had a huge day today in Casa Cuomo. Take a look at this. All right, here it is. The official reentry from the basement. cleared by CDC. A little sweaty, just worked out. Happens. This is what I've been dreaming of, literally for weeks. My wife, yeah, right. She was cleared by the CDC. She doesn't have fever. She doesn't have the symptoms anymore, more than 7 days from her quarantine. We're still a little scared, so I'll just give you one of these. Just give you one of these. Just give you one of these.
Sweet,
just give you
bro.
one of
Yeah,
these.
bro.
Bella has,
Yeah,
of course, taken
bro.
the video. This is the dream, just to be back up here doing normal things. Let's bring in
Doing normal things. That's how humans speak. Hey, there we go. We got somebody. Thank you, Quantech. Thank you. I mean, like, honestly, guys, I would not harp on you if it didn't help out the channel so much. And there's it's one thing if, you know, there's comments and, like, obviously they're not nice comments. There's Sam Cedar simp comments. And I don't care. It's not about, you guys have to defend me. I mean, there's been plenty of videos that you've seen people come in and trash. I don't give a shit about that. But it was the stream from, what's today? Wednesday? So it was Monday's stream. And so Tuesday night or Tuesday evening, it got picked up in the algorithm and it was getting lots of views. And so just one little comment here or there will help more people comment. And that is the game, unfortunately, that we got to play. I'm not willing to compromise my beliefs. I'm not willing to grift and just say the things that I know will get a lot of views. So I need y'all's help. I need y'all's help. Come on through. And I mean, that should be standard practice. Again, it is free. Next time you take a poop, just go on this stream and say poop or say fucking leave an orange heart for Trump or something. There you go. That's all you got to say. Hello, fella. That's it. That will all help. Or just call somebody stupid. Be like, oh, that's dumb. Yeah, the fake weight. Was that in this? I don't think it was in here. All right. God damn it.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Did you see the thing where Tucker Carlson was playing all these videos of Chris Cuomo talking to Michael Cohen, coaching him on what to say when he interviews him?
Did not see that.
Oh my God. Fox News, CNN just ignored the fuck out of it. They ignored it and pretended it didn't even happen.
Right.
And they didn't address it at all. And Fox News played it multiple times over multiple nights.
I don't know if I remember this. I remember the weight. I don't remember exactly.
Chris Cuomo talking to Michael Cohen, and he is coaching him on what to say when he talks to him about the hush payments.
Crazy.
Which is like, I don't know why they did that.
Well, the Cuomo, I don't like the idea that one of them is a governor and the other one's in the news.
Yeah, I think maybe he's friends with Michael Cohen and he was just trying to help him out as a friend. Like, if you were going to be on, let's just be honest.
Right.
Okay? I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If Tim Dillon was involved in some fucked up shit and I had an interview on my podcast, like, what do I say? And it was just you and me alone. I would coach you 100%.
Absolutely.
I would say, this is what you should say.
Right.
Yeah. Showing people that a girl's body weight 10 times.
Well, yeah.
Frank Subs. No, he's fucking serious, bro.
He's dead serious.
Okay.
100 pounds?
This is where we got our news.
Bro,
no,
I haven't lifted a weight in 15 years. And I can tell that that's fake.
Okay.
This is where we got our news in a minute.
No, there's a photo and he's wearing a t-shirt. This is different. That's real. That's a real weight. Whether or not that weighs 100 pounds, it might weigh 100 pounds. I don't believe that he has a fake 100-pound weight. He's a big person. I think that guy's pretty large.
Dude. I'm sure he's not. I'm sure the weight isn't fake.
That's the picture. Here's the thing. I saw these people that are complaining and saying it's not real.
There's no, even with this is not even in full quality. This is at 360. Even from here. Will this help? Not really. But even from here, you can tell there's no I don't know what they're called, but like the like if I mean, I don't fucking have any muscle in it, but like you can see that he's not flexing enough to be holding something heavy over his head. Like what are you doing? Box said, I have a 35-pound kettlebell here. We all see it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like, I mean, I don't even have a frame of reference other than just, you know, throughout life, picking up things that are heavy and how people act when they, I mean, if you guys know the, I don't even know how to say it. I've read it. Like, I think it's Anatoly, this guy who does videos. He goes to the gym and he's jacked, but he wears like a baggy janitor thing. And he has like, you know what? We're going to find out with 35 kilograms.
And all this shit.
But he's a 35 kilogram. How many pounds is 35? So damn. So he's a 77-pound mop. And he's like, I think you're doing this wrong. And it's like a smaller, slimmer dude. But yeah, it's good stuff. And they're not ready for it. But even with that, like that's the extent of my frame of reference for weightlifting and any of that stuff. One thing said, Lutch, don't you feel bad that you grift on celebrating Jesus while simping for Trump? You like literally have a shirt that says Jesus for Trump. Do I know? Oof, oof. See, that's someone who looks at the comments. Yeah, let me mop up your personal best.
Listen, you can do that. That can be done. People who think you can't do that are crazy. He's bigger than me. Look, he's bigger than me. And there's a video.
So are a lot of people.
Of me on Instagram with a 92-pound kettlebell, and I'm cleaning it and pressing it 10 times over my head.
Right.
He's bigger. That guy's a lot bigger than me.
Right.
He could hold 100 pounds over his head and do it like that.
Right.
Like if I had a 100-pound dumbbell in my arm right now, I could press it. He's bigger than me. He could do it. Some people are fucking strong.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with doing that. It's when he does
Look at
the
this
news.
challenge to Chris Cuomo.
It's the twist.
Prove you're not a liar. Prove you can actually lift that weight you're showing with.
Am I wrong? It's when he's like, when he looks at it, when he does that. When he first.
No, he's fucking serious, bro. Okay.
That, I mean, first of all, the speed looks fake. But then just twisting around like that. There's no momentum from a fucking 100 pounds.
This is where we get our news in America.
No, there's a photo and he's wearing a t-shirt. This is different. That's real. That's a real weight. Whether or not that weighs 100 pounds, it might weigh 100 pounds.
Oh yeah, it's a real weight in the sense that it is not weightless. Come on. Yeah, and we're at 1.5. So let's watch this at normal speed.
That's a real weight. Whether or not that weighs 100
Come on, dude.
This is where we get our news in America.
No, there's a photo and he's wearing a t-shirt.
on,
This is
dude.
different.
You don't even see his arm flex at all. Like it's not a super tight shirt. But am I wrong? Am I wrong that you would see his arm flexing in that shirt for 100 pounds sitting down?
News in America.
No, there's a photo and he's wearing a t-shirt. This is different.
Talking with no breaks in his breath. Like, come on, man. Get the fuck out of my face. Get the fuck out of my face. All right, guys, let's head over to the after party. Before we go, in case you haven't, go check out theindianjesus.com for your very own official merch, including the Patriotic Jesus mug. You can get stickers. You can get magnets. All that good stuff. Only at theindianjesus.com. Guys, we are headed over to Discord. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. It is free to join. However, if you are a member, you are invited to the after party where we are headed right now. Thank you guys so very, very much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you are new, make sure you subscribe. I am live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. And I try to drop videos almost every single day. So ring the bell so you don't miss shit. Thank you once again, guys. This little guy has been Morty. There he is. Morty in the building. And I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.